like the dude just said. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to the end of the week. Welcome to Friday, we like to call it. Hit me some Friday sound effects. Friday! Yes, it is. And we're going to get you all the way to go home time here on a Friday afternoon. And in the meantime, pushing buttons so ably on the board. JP, hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. How about you on this Friday?
Good. I'm gooder. I'm goodest.
That's all you can ask.
That's all you can ask.
Just be gooder than yesterday.
That's exactly right. I'm definitely gooder than yesterday. All right. Hey, we got a great show laid on for you. You know what happens on Friday at halfway through hour number 2. We flip off the politics and the culture war stuff, and we go straight to some time with JP on sports. So, yeah, coming up halfway through hour number 2, JP on sports, and that'll be a good one. And then I got a triple dipper just filled up with stuff. So hit it, man.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
That's right. The Triple Dipper. 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, that you got to know as we run today's show. First out the gate, man, I'm telling you what, I'm watching it right now on the screen. It's just right now on the screen in the studio. The violent left wing. That's what I'm calling it. The violent left wing. I mean, why is this okay? I'm sitting here watching vans getting pummeled with giant rocks and protesters actually fighting with police officers and law enforcement. And I'm thinking, why is that okay? Short answer is it's not. And this has got to be dealt with. The violent left wing, that's number 1 on the Triple Dipper. Number 2, we're going to run down some of the latest information we've got on the U.S. military. You know, I do this periodically, very military-minded as we are on the show. And yes, indeed, the Dipper is called military-minded. So that's number 2 on the Triple Dipper. And then number 3, I mean to say, they got them a leprechaun going right now in New York City. He's brought the pot of gold with him. They just feel everything's wonderful. It's going to be great. Let's get some Mamdani magic. Why don't we have some Mamdani magic take us across the finish line for the election in New York City? Oh, boy. We'll talk about it. That's number 3 on the Triple Dipper, Mamdani magic. All right, let me jump on into today's opening monologue, the Rightside Way monologue, brought to you every single day by attorney Stan McDonald. Stan McDonald, a partner at the law firm of Wilmer and Lee, a 30-year vet in the practice of law. And yes, indeed, your daily sponsor of the Rightside Way. I'll tell you more about Stan here in just a few minutes. All right, I just talked about it briefly a moment ago. I've been watching the news. I know most of y'all have too, but if you've been watching the news for even a little bit, you're seeing images out of California that just boggle the mind. Left-wing agitators and immigration apologists are constantly, even violently, attempting to interfere with federal law enforcement for daring to actually work to enforce the laws related to illegal immigration. Yesterday, in a tear gas-filled full-on riot, left-wing protesters swarmed to a pot farm. A pot farm. Let that sink in. A pot farm, where armed ICE agents with National Guard support were serving immigration warrants and seeking to arrest illegals that were working the pot farm. Got out of hand real quick as pink-haired liberals waving foreign flags were blocking the roads, climbing on law enforcement vehicles, and assaulting officers. Helicopter video also shows that there was one individual in the crowd who appears to have actually pulled out a gun and fired it at law enforcement as he ran away. We're getting reports today that of the roundup that all the people they rounded up that day at the pot farm, that there were 9 unaccompanied minor illegal immigrants on the scene. So is this now child endangerment as well? At the same time all this is going on, we're seeing the similar reports of anarchy in places like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Portland. Meanwhile, California Governor Gavin Newsom was all the way across the nation in South Carolina campaigning against Trump for reasons no one can fathom. And LA Mayor Karen Bass, she held a press conference this week. A woman, by the way, who is so out of her league that she has become a living meme. But she held a press conference like Baghdad Bob and announced that these riots never actually happened. Really? Also, meanwhile, the mayor of Chicago just announced that he's directing city officials not to cooperate with ICE and asking for the city council to actually pass a resolution to that effect. Multiple arrests have been made, most recently of anarchists who recently conducted a coordinated ambush of law enforcement who were attempting to round up illegals. Let's be clear. The reasons why we are seeing a 500% increase in assaults on federal law enforcement is because the progressive left is willing to commit violence, number 1, and the progressive left leadership, number 2, is willing to turn a blind eye at best even encourage it at worst. This is all preventable, though. Every bit of this is all preventable. But left-wing leaders are going to have to weigh in and make themselves heard and tell the agitators in their party's base that violence and mayhem are never acceptable. In these great American cities, liberal left-wing lunatics are burning things down while liberal left-wing leaders are just fiddling. I mean, it's possible. It's possible to be in a bad situation and actually still keep order. It is, but it takes leadership. It takes the will of the people to do so. I had an experience once during the early days of the war in Afghanistan. I've told you before, I was there just after the invasion on a small special operations team, living for a year among the Afghan people. My 6-man team and a U.S. Army Special Forces team, we were together in a remote region just hours away from any other military base. And in Afghanistan, everywhere we looked, there was devastation. If it wasn't devastation caused by a near decade of Taliban thuggery, then it was leftover destruction from the days of the Soviet occupation. Landmines were everywhere. Old destroyed tanks and armored vehicles lay by the sides of the roads and in ditches, scraps of weapons here and there, and farmers who sometimes had to choose to plow or not plow based on where they could remember that bombs might still be in the ground in their fields. Basically, the detritus of war was commonplace. So much so, really, that the people of the country just lived among it. The people got numb to it. I once saw a full-size bridge spanning the Koksha River in northeast Afghanistan, and the abutments on each side of the bridge were made out of former Soviet tanks who had been dragged into place and their hulls filled with dirt and used to make the base for the bridge. That's crazy. I have pictures of kids playing on old destroyed armored personnel carriers like it was part of a playground. My headquarters was well south to Kabul. My team's area of operations was in the north past the Hindu Kush Mountains. Hindu Kush, by the way, is a term or a name that means the blood of the Hindus, because it was said that in centuries past, invaders from the south in what is now India and Pakistan died trying to get over those mountains. Epic snow-covered peaks so high that the rarefied air made it nearly impossible to fly military helicopters over them. But on a few occasions, I had to come in from the field for headquarters business, and it was no small thing to get there. But on one occasion, my guys and I made it down, and then we got stuck. We had no air assets that could move us back north. We were locked down. My team was still out there. After 5 days, I finally convinced my commander that if he would just give me 2 old Toyota trucks from the motor pool, I would head north overland myself. This was no small thing, by the way, but we did it. And for quite a while, myself and one other guy on my team were some of the only Americans to have traveled the length of the route over the Hindu Kush by way of the highest tunnel complex in the world that was built by the Soviets. It's called the Salang Pass Tunnel. It was high adventure, let me tell you. We had no interpreter with us, just a handful of Americans, including one intrepid reporter from the New York Times who heard what we were doing and he wanted to tag along. Yeah, we passed through, here's my point, we passed through every war-torn village and bombed-out structure that we could find on the way north, it seemed like. But I'll never forget one village way up high in the mountains, well above the rest of the world, it seemed. And as we drove into the village, it had beautiful fields of cultivated sunflowers and crops growing beside a rushing mountain stream with little ornate stone footbridges. Even traditional small brown mud brick homes stacked on the hillsides and perched above the streams all seemed to be well kept and beautiful. It was like a postcard. The place was unreal. I told one of my guys I felt like we had just disregarded the war and driven right into Shangri-La. But you know what the real difference was? And here's why I tell that story. The real difference was we were in a dangerous place where war had been going on for 20 years, where there was destruction and devastation everywhere. But in that one village right there, the people really cared, and their leaders really cared. And they cared enough not to live like everybody else did. The villagers there cared, and they would not succumb to the mindset that this is just how it is. They didn't do that. They took care. They had pride in their homes. They lived with the understanding they could not change the world, but they could change where they lived. And it was so evident. I'd love to go back, by the way, and see it one day under different circumstances. But here's the thing. Here's my point in telling you that story. My point is that the people of any community do not have to just settle for disruption and disorder. They don't. While I'm not a fan of big government and attempts by too many in office to expand the scope of government, I can tell you that I do fully acknowledge there is a role for government, and to provide for the common defense, support the general welfare, ensure domestic tranquility, those are written into our founding documents. But too often right now, leftist liberals especially feel that their role in various positions is just to make life easier for the criminals and then harder for the law-abiding citizens and even the law enforcement. Too often it's the law-abiding citizens who become like the vast number of Afghans that I knew in Afghanistan, who just begin to finally accept that there's nothing they can do. It's just societal upheaval. We just have to live with it. But that village in the mountains that I told you about, they got it. They knew. They did not have to settle. That's why I'm a fan of what some people call broken windows policing. The social science theory that's known as broken windows holds that if a window in a building is broken out and not repaired, then before you know it, the rest of the windows will also be broken. And just one unrepaired broken window is a signal that nobody cares. And so breaking more windows apparently costs nothing. There's no penalties. It's like a visible sign of crime, antisocial behavior. And then it rises to civil disorder. It creates an environment that encourages further crime and disorder, eventually leading to more serious and even deadly crimes. The theory of broken windows suggests that policing methods that will actually target minor crimes like vandalism, loitering, public drinking, jaywalking, it actually helps to create an atmosphere of order and lawfulness. It was this theory of broken windows that Mayor Rudy Giuliani used to clean up New York and return it to the jewel of the world. And then just the opposite was done years later by Mayor de Blasio, who just basically tore law and order apart to make it hard for tourists to even want to go there. And now you have things going on in California, where everybody who's on the wrong side of the law feels empowered to stay on the wrong side of the law and intervene with law enforcement, even fight with law enforcement, because nobody on the left will tell them no. Basically, the broken windows theory, it's a community that will say to the criminal elements that disorder and crime and violence will not be tolerated because we live here, because this is our home, because we care. And you can see the effects of soft on crime policies and the empowerment of the left, the violent liberal left, in places like Atlanta, Chicago, San Francisco, and yes, even right here in our own state in Birmingham. And for too long, the people of these great American cities have just capitulated. It's as if they believe there's nothing they can do. They just live with it because, well, just because. But law and order, it matters. It's about quality of life. It's about having the ability to actually say yes to all the right things. And if a village in the high places of Afghanistan can make itself look like a postcard, then we can too right here at home. It's about leadership. And the left has to speak out and call a crime a crime. That's what it takes. Because this is our house and it matters. And the leftist liberals are just fiddling while their cities burn. And that's a wrap for the Rightside Way. Yeah, there it is. And it's true. And it's a crying shame because you look at some of these cities. I used to live out there towards LA for a period of time. I mean, it's just beautiful. And yet, what are we doing? Why are we sitting idly by and letting them just empower people to fight with law enforcement over the idea of actually enforcing the law? It's time for the people to get busy and tell their leaders to get on the stick. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. I don't think Americans sometimes realize the blessing of living in a country where war does not touch the ground we walk on.
Right. Yeah.
Having said that, so you lived through some amazing events in your home country, your original, your country of your origin. Mm-hmm. What was it like when the communists took over the country? I mean, you went from, and you said your family was fairly wealthy. Mm-hmm. What did your family do, by the way? How did
yeah. So my great-grandparents, my paternal great-grandparents, escaped the communist part of China.
Okay.
So he and my great-grandmother escaped communist part of China and settled in the Mekong Delta. He was a Eastern medicine man, so that was his profession. So they started a family there. Because we live by the Mekong River, which the Mekong River is a gateway to all the commodities, coming down that river from Cambodia and other part of the...
It's a trade route.
Trade route. So my paternal grandfather started buying commodities that came down that river, buy and sell. And he started that business, and he has 10 kids. My father is the third child. Okay. And everybody worked in my grandfather's business. And so he started that business. And I mean, we dealt with everything. We bought silk, coming down that river. We had a bakery at one point. We had a Fanta bottling company, believe it or not,
Really?
in Vietnam, in
Yeah.
South Vietnam at one point. So we were one of the richest family in our province.
So what happened when the communists came? Because
So when the
wealth is
communists-
not usually allowed in the communist
No.
countries.
Not at all. They came in and they basically overnight, with a stroke of a pen, they nationalize all of our businesses and take away and close our bank account, froze our bank account, start take over some of our homes and our land. And they were allowed my family to have only the bakery. And even with that, they tell us what to produce, how to produce it, and even at what price. So we went from having one of the richest family in the province to being just like everybody. I mean, that's what communism and socialism is, right?
Yeah.
They basically their things is take from the rich to help the poor. Sounds great. Sounds really. Who does not want everybody to be equal? But it doesn't work that way. All I did was take away the incentive of people really working, want to do better for themselves, and the rich become poorer and the poor stay in poverty.
Yeah, communism crushes the spirit, doesn't it?
It is, and communism is. It's a religion. It is. It's a religion.
Was it so when they took over everything, when the communists took over the country, and the South Vietnamese government fell, did they literally come in, aside from the stroke of the pen and the things that they took? Did they come in and did they micromanage your life? I mean, did they actually walk into the house and tell you here's how things are going to be?
Yeah, we had a communist family came in and lived with us.
Live with you?
Just to watch us.
They put watchers in your house.
Yes. To make sure we didn't hide anything from them, because we were rich. And basically we went from, okay, I'll give you an example. Before, when you have aches and pain, you can go to the market and get a bottle of aspirin.
Right.
When the communists took over, commodities and everything was so scarce that you can only buy one aspirin. And also because that's all people could also afford.
Wow.
A pregnant mom can only buy one multivitamin. You can't just go buy enough rice and soy sauce and things like that for your family, or fabrics and threads to make clothes. You have to stand in line to buy, those things.
Everything rationed, everything parceled
Everything
out.
rationed, yes. And you can stand in line for hours sometimes, and there's nothing. And by the time they get to you, there's nothing left. And you have to come back the next day to get back in line.
Meanwhile, the communist leaders got fat, I'm
They
sure.
got fat.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm
They
sure.
took over all the people homes and moved in, and yeah, even today, all the millionaires in Vietnam, you betcha, they have a communist tie to them.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is a turbulent time. How long after the fall of Saigon did you remain in the country? And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just saving the world one soundbite at a time. Got to tell you, I just got a text from Jeff from Indiana. Man, he's got a day going. He says, Phil, it's not Friday, it's Friday. Okay. He said, as soon as I crossed into Tennessee going south, kaboom. And he sent us a picture. He had a blowout on one of those, I guess are they twin stack? I guess they are. But yeah, it's down to the rim. So he's still sitting there 3 hours waiting for a change out on his way south. Jeff, blessings on you, man. Blessings on you. I got to tell you about Stan McDonald, attorney Stan McDonald. Law firm is Wilmer and Lee. He's a 30-year veteran of practices of law in the North Alabama region. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I know Stan. He's a great lawyer. He is. He's also, by the way, an OG ruffian from way back. I mean, the man has been in the mix, in the fray, if you will, on all the issues and policies and politics that right side ruffians care about for a decade, or more. So yeah, Stan McDonald. As an attorney, he's represented his clients in literally thousands of real estate transactions. He can stand up for you in any local, state, or federal court. I like to say if Stan McDonald's on your side, you're going to have no greater friend. Likewise, your adversaries would have no greater foe. So here's the deal. You want an attorney in North Alabama? You may want to call Stan. Stan McDonald, the law firm Wilmer and Lee. Here's his phone number. You ready? 256-479-3020. That's 256-479-3020. Tell him you heard about it on Rightside Radio. And no representation made. The quality legal service be informed is great. Quality legal service. What do you think?
You fudged it at
Oh,
the
right at
end,
the very. See, you're listening too close.
Still like a 9-3 though.
9-3. The Russian judge is hard today. All right, good enough. John from Huntsville checking in says, Phil, spectacular monologue. Also, did you hear Trump visited the Texas flood zone, where currently the death toll stands at 121? I did hear that. By the way, JP, are you going to watch the Home Run Derby on Monday? Home Run Derby's Monday, huh?
Yeah, but it's we'll be talking about some in the JP on Sports, but yeah, it's in Atlanta this year. So
in Hot Atlanta,
Acuna is in the Home Run Derby this year. So the Braves are so bad this year that I think Acuna winning the Home Run Derby is the only thing that we can gain. Like, we need a win. We need something. We need a win of some sort.
So what you're saying is your entire season's hopes are based on one man doing something that does not change the team standings.
Yeah, I mean, we need a morale boost, okay? we're dying over here. We need a win of some sort.
What's their record right now? Where are they at?
Man, let me see.
Oh, my goodness.
I can't tell you. It's, let's see, 40-52.
So it's a losing season.
40, where it got a 43% winning percentage. So
Shea Manetti. Okay. All right.
A lot of season left.
Is there a lot of season left?
Oh yeah, we're just now halfway, but
Yeah.
it goes until the end of the beginning of October. It's 162 game season.
Wow. Okay. All right. Hey, text lines are open. 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. We'll come back. We'll get text messages and all that, get caught up with all you guys. And yeah, then I'm going to kick off this first dipper. I'll be honest with you. If you caught any of my passion in the monologue that's there, the dipper is going to continue it. This violent left wing is ticking me off. And what really bothers me, though, is part of it is because they feel empowered to be violent. They don't feel like there's any restraint on their behavior right now. They do not fear their local leadership. And so they are willing to do whatever, and they could care less. And in part because it's almost as if they've been encouraged to do so by left-wing politicians who are just egging it on. It's awful. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. Maine in the country.
4 years.
So 4 years
And
from
I think
1979-ish.
1979's 2 weeks after my birthday, which is in May, it's when my sister and I escaped Vietnam.
Okay, well, tell me about that, because I know in one of the speeches of yours that I reviewed, it wasn't your whole family that came out.
Right.
It was just a few, and your parents had to make a choice, basically.
Yes.
So what was that family discussion like to decide who leaves and who stays?
Gosh, I remember that night very clearly. I had several aunts and uncles. They were able to afford to pay passages. And when I say pay passages to leave Vietnam, meant that you're paying the official to look this way so you can escape
So
this
this is
way.
a bribe.
It's a bribe. So if you get caught, they can throw you in jail. So basically, you bribe the government to leave. So I had a few aunts and uncles that had signed up to leave Vietnam on this riverboat, and they're going to Australia because they felt Australia is the safest place to be. And also, we have a few cousins that already left Vietnam before the fall of Saigon, and they settled in Australia.
Okay.
So overnight, one of my aunts came home and told my dad that there may be some empty spots on this refugee boat, and that we should take the empty spots. And there's 8 of us in the family, my parents and 6 kids, me being the oldest.
Okay. How old were you at the time?
I was 12.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And basically, my parents have only a few hours to decide this. And my parents of course, at this time in 1979, everybody was struggling. We don't have a whole lot of money. And I know it was a lot of sacrifice for my parents to even, bribe someone to the official for me and my sister to leave. And so, yeah, there were only enough money for just 2 passages. And so they picked me, being the oldest. I was 12. And my next sister, she was she's a little bit over 10 years old, to leave with my aunt and uncle. And my parent has to make the decision overnight. I mean, I just can't imagine.
No.
The pain and the.
Do you remember them telling you?
I remember, yeah. And I remember my parents said to trust them, and I think, being the oldest of 6, I'm pretty bratty. It's kind of like bratty, and also kind of.
Were you headstrong?
Yeah. I mean, I can fight any boys in my neighborhood growing up. I mean, I would have like a spitting contest with the boys. And anyway, so I just felt like at that time, I felt like I'm trusting my parents. And even though now looking back, I can't even imagine them having to make this decision. No. Because, honestly, they don't know if they will ever see me and my sister again. They don't know that, right? But they have to make this hard decision because they knew that at least 2 of their kids may have a better life elsewhere than Vietnam.
Well, I mean, that's huge. And I've raised kids, and I understand you've raised your kids. And I cannot imagine at 10 and 12 years old sending them away and knowing never see them again.
I remember saying,
what an amazing thing.
Saying goodbye to my little brother. He was 2 years old. And that night we slept in a mosquito enclosement. That's how we sleep in Vietnam.
Under
I remember
a net?
Yeah, mosquito net. I remember hugging my brother and one of my sister, 2 of the other sister. It was summer, so there was no school. So 2 of the sisters did visit some of our relatives elsewhere. I remember thinking, this is maybe the last time I get to see 2 of my siblings and my parents.
Hey, all you Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I'm talking about this show right here. This show goes like from Huntsville back over to Chattanooga, from Tuscaloosa back over to Gadsden, from all the way down to that lovely little village on the plains we call Auburn, straight across the line from there to Fort Benning. And then big old patches of North Georgia and Mississippi all thrown in just for good measure. And that's just the radio audience. And there's all y'all out there in the whole wide world going to the World Wide Web and watching us daily live streaming the show on places like our website, rightsidemedia.org. And then you get it up on X and on Facebook and on Rumble and on YouTube. Check it all out. And then you guys that podcast the show afterwards, thank you for that too. Bottom line is we got an audience out there that's all over the place, and we love it, and we love y'all. Thank you very much for making this worthwhile. So text lines are open, 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. I'd love to get your feedback on what you're watching constantly playing out of the news right now with people assaulting police or federal law enforcement for daring to try and enforce immigration law. Text me your thoughts, 833-68-RIGHT. By the way, Richard from Madison did just text you. I guess you saw that.
Yeah.
He says, JP, quit your whining. At least you're not a fan of the Rockies.
Well, see, the Rockies weren't supposed to be good this year. We were, so it's a bit more of a disappointment,
So you're saying that the expectations were higher?
Yeah, some people had us winning the World Series this year, so it's quite the disappointment.
Some people, including you?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I lived through the Braves rebuild years in middle school, so If I'm going to lose, I want to expect to lose. How about that as a fan?
Understand.
Yes.
Or you could just go ahead and temper your expectations up front,
Yeah,
like we do as an Auburn fan.
Yeah, there's that too.
The violent left wing. That's my first one. I mean, if you heard my monologue a moment ago, I hope you did. If you didn't, you can always catch it again in podcast form. But y'all, I got to tell you, I am just super tired of the left leadership. Which, by the way, you can be in charge and still not lead a thing. You can also be a negative leader as much as you can be a positive leader. You can push people to do all the wrong things as much as you can encourage them to do the right thing. We got a whole lot of left-leaning and leftist and just progressive, uber liberal elected officials in places like Los Angeles, and, in Sacramento, and in Portland, and in, of course, various other venues around the nation like Chicago and New York City. It's just absolutely galling to watch as the liberal elected officials say nothing. In fact, they even encourage the out of control riots and assaults upon our law enforcement. It is my concern is that we're going to wind up having, well, we already have had. We had one law enforcement officer shot the other day. They've actually arrested now, I want to say up to 10 people who are taking part in a coordinated ambush. Take that in, a coordinated ambush against law enforcement. How did they know where they were? Where they were baiting them in. And then there's that app. Remember the app? I'm not going to name it, but there's an app that came out. And the whole app is designed for people to upload where they see ICE so that people will know how to avoid them. What that also does, though, is it tells the world where ICE is in case you want to ambush them. It's absolutely asinine, and yet the left says nothing. In fact, by the way, turning a blind eye and saying nothing is just as bad sometimes as speaking up and saying all the wrong things. The lovely Charlene just sent me a text, and she says the anarchists are being encouraged by the Democrat leadership. Look at Karen Bass, she says, and funded by haters of our country. Yes, they are. Yes, they absolutely are. Wiley from Gunnersville just checked in. He said the out-of-control rioters need a big dose of nightsticks, maybe German shepherds and fire hoses. It's amazing to me that the left will consider this to be a civil rights issue, but it's not. Because a civil rights issue is dealing with civil rights. A civil rights issue is when someone was being discriminated against for simply being who they are. But a roundup by ICE is arresting people for being where they're not supposed to be. They're not supposed to be on this side of the border without having gone through the process. If they're here legally, awesome. Let them keep working. But what we're seeing right now is ICE merely trying to do its job, which, by the way, ICE is a creature of statute. It is not something that was created by Donald Trump with a stroke of a pen. No, ICE predates all the presidents of recent history. ICE is Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, an absolute member of the Department of Homeland Security, formed by statute, approved by Congress, signed into law by the United States president. And yet they are acting right now like somehow or another ICE has just been created by Donald Trump to be his jackbooted, Nazi wearing just stormtroopers. It's awful. Stop it. Y'all are just ridiculous. In the meantime, though, what's happening is the assaults upon law enforcement as they merely try to do their job are going to result in people getting killed. And that is absolutely got to be reined in. There's a piece that came out today. In fact, I'm watching part of it on the screen right now. In that same vein, ICE, wearing their vests with their badges and everything else, identifying themselves, went to arrest an illegal immigrant who was working as a groundskeeper outside of a medical facility. He apparently ran inside, so of course they went in after him. And then the medical staff, and I'm watching the video right now, medical staff wearing scrubs and everything else began pushing and shoving and intervening with the ICE guy and trying to stop the law enforcement from doing his job. If that had been somebody who had just raped someone or robbed a store and run in, would they do the same thing? No, but because it's an illegal immigrant, suddenly it changes. And these people right here are professionals. This is not rabble with pink hair in the streets. They may be liberals, but these are professionals. working in a medical setting. Why are they acting like this? Because they've been empowered to. That's why. They've been absolutely empowered to. They have been led to believe that somehow or another law enforcement is the enemy and the criminal illegal alien is the victim. And so they're intervening because that's what's being preached to them daily, and they feel empowered to do it. It's just ridiculous. Tom with all the kids from Huntsville, Tom with all the kids says, we the people means we the citizens. Yep, I will agree with that. And then Jeff from Indiana has checked in. He says, Phil, I believe there should be a company. I think he's trying to say I should buy a company with water cannons. What's he trying to say to me, man? It's a voice text, so I'm losing it here.
I believe there should be a company buy water cannons. Not only will it clean the streets up, freshen up these liberals, haha. So I guess, yeah.
But then he goes on to say, yeah, but in reality, they need to be arrested and punished on the federal level because they're assaulting federal officers. Put them in prison, and this stuff will go away. I agree, man. That's exactly what needs to happen.
But the foreign flags, like waving the Mexican flags while going, that's like, I mean, look, if I showed you an image of people waving Mexican flags while shooting at ICE, what would you think? Oh, we're being invaded by the Mexican army or something. Like it's clearly they're fighting for Mexico's interests, not America.
Yeah, and how about this? What if we went to Mexico?
Yeah. Waving
American flags,
and shot at Mexican
law enforcement and created havoc on their streets. Would not exactly go over the way it's supposed to go.
It doesn't really seem organic. It seems like somebody's probably paying them to do
No,
this.
and how did they even know to rush out to the pot farm?
It didn't seem
which we'll get to in just a minute.
Yeah,
which is a headline that I still can't get past.
Mm.
Dorothy from Elkmont says the main reason they're against ICE and not saying anything is because they're the voting base. In some areas, illegals are allowed to vote in local elections like mayor and such. This has got to stop. All caps. I agree with that. Yeah, there have been several venues, including Washington, D.C. and New York City, that were trying to give illegals the right to vote in local elections. And that's absolutely not allowed. No, make it stop. No. But the stories that we've got today that we're going to touch on, in my opinion, and I said it in the title of my monologue a moment ago, was leftist leaders fiddle while their cities burn. And that's what's happening. You got Gavin Newsom, who's he's like flying to South Carolina to campaign for president for 2028 for crying out loud, while his city while the cities in his state are back there watching anarchy in the streets. I guarantee you, the vast majority of citizens, even in a liberal state like California, are looking at all this going, we just want this to go away. And they're not talking about they want ICE to go away. They want the violence to go away. People don't want to be driving down the street and suddenly be concerned about the crowd that surrounds their car. They don't want to be driving to work and suddenly they can't get there because protesters have locked arms and they're sitting in the middle of the road. They don't want to go to work and find a brick thrown through their window because somebody thought they were a Trump supporter. This stuff's got to go, man. It's got to go. But at the same time, Trump campaigned on this, and a huge swath of America said, this is what we want. We want the biggest deportation mission in all of history. And that's what we're underway with right now. Take me to a break, JP. We'll do a break. We'll come right back. I'll jump on in. I got a stack of resources to rattle some paper for you. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back.
That morning when my dad took my sister and I to the coast to leave on this riverboat.
Yeah.
Looking back and seeing my mom there, not sure if I ever see her again. That was hard.
Oh, well, I can't even imagine. I also can't imagine not just your side, but I can't even imagine the parent side of it. But so you got on the boat though, and you're on there, and you do have some family ties on the boat with you. You have an aunt, uncle, and some cousins.
Yes.
How many total?
There was 2 sets of aunts and uncles and 2 of their kids.
Okay. And then how many people total on the boat? I mean, is this
It's about 400.
Oh, this is not a small boat.
No, well, no, it's a small boat, but they fit as many people in there as as they can, and there was not room. There was only room just to sit. There's not even room to lay down. And I remember one time my sister and I had our backs together just to sleep because there's no room to lay down.
All right. I heard you speak. This was not a smooth voyage, this boat. And you were actually at some point intercepted by pirates. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. How'd that go?
Well, not very well. But, well, first of all, the South China Sea was full of pirates at that time. And because they knew that the Vietnamese refugees carry gold and jewelries with them to start their lives elsewhere, right?
Right.
So piracy is, I think it was estimated that a quarter of the refugee boat people was robbed by pirates.
Wow.
And they're from Thailand and other, Malaysia, Indonesia, and all that. But yeah, we were, after several days at sea, we actually landed in Malaysia.
So you went ashore in Malaysia, or is this before the pirates or after?
This is okay. So this part may be a little bit sensitive,
Okay.
in a way, but this is the truth. We landed in Malaysia, and we thought we were going to be rescued. Well, the Malaysian Navy came out, and they tied our boat to their boat, and they pulled us out to the sea.
Oh, wow.
And we thought we were getting pulled to somewhere like a refugee camp or something. They pulled us out to sea where there's no people that can see them. They robbed us.
The Malaysian Navy.
Yes, because they were in uniform.
Wow. Wow. Did you have any personal items of your own stolen? Were there any people that were taken? I mean,
Yeah,
I would
well,
imagine human trafficking is also an issue sometimes in this.
that would have happened, I believe, with all my heart. But if it wasn't for the grace of God, God intervened during this situation because a huge storm was brewing. So they started robbing people, and they found a bunch. They came over with metal detector,
Yeah.
and the captain of our boat has hidden some gold on the boat, and they found the gold, and it was a lot of gold. And so they were busy doing that. And then they make people strip off their jewelry. And I remember my mom had sent some jewelry with us, some gold bracelets and necklaces and stuff. And my sister and I actually strip them off of us, and we would stuff them in our mouths just
wow.
to hide from the pirates. So that was saved. But they found a lot of gold from the captain that they didn't want to bother with the people too much. And even while they were robbing us, there was this huge storm brewing really fast, and they wanted to get out of there. So
Sometimes God calms a storm, and sometimes
exactly,
he brings a storm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the storm was brewing really fast, and they were trying to rob us really fast, so they didn't search everybody.
So you got to keep yours.
So my family got to keep ours.
Wow.
Jewelry. But that storm got them out of there. And their plan was they disabled our engine and threw some of our provision overboard. So they think that storm was going to capsize our
They
little
disabled
boat.
the engine, left the boat just adrift?
Yes.
Okay.
So they were hoping that storm.
And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Making common sense like a superpower. All right, so I got a piece here from Fox News. It's just one of the many sources I could have grabbed from, but here's a headline for you. Immigration operation at a California cannabis farm leads to a clash between federal agents and protesters. Can't make this stuff up. I mean, you got immigration, you got law enforcement, you got California cannabis farms, and then you got protesters. I mean, this is a Target Rich article right here. I could go 15 different directions with this one. All right, let's stick with the illegal immigration rioting. How about that? Protesters clashed with federal authorities on Thursday during an immigration operation north of LA at a marijuana farm, allegedly employing illegal immigrants. Allegedly, I'd say they were there. It's a state license. The article says it's a state licensed cannabis facility, which is considered illegal under federal law. Interesting. In addition, U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, a guy named Bill Isale, he said the FBI has now offered a $50,000 reward for information leading to the conviction of an unknown suspect who appeared to be firing a pistol at federal law enforcement. And I don't know that for a fact. I did see the video. The guy's running backwards in the crowd, and he pulls out what looks like it has to be a pistol, and he appears to fire it, and then he looks at it, and then he fires it again, like maybe he's not real. Well, I can tell you right now, he's not a a weapons guru, because there was zero level of weapons skill in what I saw. But the fact that he's doing it at all, if that was a pistol, he absolutely needs to go to jail, and somebody get $50,000 just for turning him in. That being said, they also, at this cannabis facility, investigators found 9 unaccompanied migrant children. 9. So I guess child labor is a thing now. Now, Gavin Newsom tries to say, bless their hearts, these children were there watching their mommies and daddies be arrested and dragging them away. And I'm thinking, come on, man. Here's Gavin Newsom. Kids running from tear gas, crying on the phone because their mother was just taken from the fields. It said that they were unaccompanied. What does that mean? If there are 9 unaccompanied minors, either A, there's a day school there, which there ain't, or B, these kids were working the fields. So now you got illegal immigrants / child labor. Come on. All right, the liberal view of this. Here's the mayor of a nearby town called Oxnard. The mayor said in his social media post, "It is becoming increasingly apparent that the actions taken by ICE are bold and aggressive, demonstrating insensitivity towards the direct impact on our community. We are committed to working alongside the Attorney General and the Governor's Office to explore potential legal avenues." All right, let me interpret that for you. We don't like it. We want to be a sanctuary city, so we're going to work with the AG and the governor to try and find ways to fight Trump. That's what he's saying. And listen, the idea that ICE is bold and aggressive, what's your point? How about the protesters require that? The reason why you see ICE going in with masks on is because they're getting doxxed and having their family lives threatened. The reason why you see ICE going in wearing bulletproof vests is because people are shooting guns at them. The reason why you see ICE using armored vehicles, and the reason why you see ICE showing up to have raids with large groups of ICE is because they're usually outnumbered by the protesters, and they have to do. They have to. I mean, the rules of engagement, I would say this. If you send in 1 or 2 ICE guys and they conducted a raid and they had no body armor and they got surrounded by protesters and they got beat up by protesters, then anybody who planned that operation would deserve to lose their job. ICE is doing exactly what they have to do, but the reason why they're having to do it this way is because of the tone being set by the liberal leftist leadership. Now, then you got like a member of Congress who's making it worse. U.S. Representative Salud Carbajal, Democrat from California, said he went to the scene of the raid at the pot farm. Went down there to the pot farm to see my constituents. I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up.
The whole story is bizarre.
It is bizarre. We're living in some level of bizarro world right now.
I mean, it's one thing to have child labor, but have child labor on a marijuana farm.
Child labor on a pot farm.
Like the cherry on top.
Okay. The only thing missing is they found a porn studio in the back room of the pot farm. This is deplorable, said U.S. Representative Salud Carbajal, Democrat from California. This is deplorable. This should not be happening on our soil. Individuals dressed like military personnel on our soil. We don't do that in America. Yes, actually, we do. By the way, what a stupid thing to say. Individuals dressed like military personnel. They're wearing tactical gear. They're supposed to. It's part of the uniform of the day. And it says ICE and police and law enforcement on their vest. Anyway, earlier this week, it also points out in the article, immigration authorities were in MacArthur Park in Los Angeles conducting a raid. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass and California Governor Gavin Newsom condemned the operation. So one of the things that we're waiting on right now is there's a judge. Let me find that article. I was telling JP about this before the show. There's a judge, you hear me flipping paper, who is expected to make a ruling today. This federal district court judge, who was appointed by Joe Biden, whose name is, bear with me, Judge Meme Ewusi Mensah Frimpong. Wow. Was that Philippine? Is that Filipino?
It's funny as I can't even correct you because I don't even know the correct pronunciation of that name. So
Judge Meme Ewusi Mensah Frimpong. It's a hyphenated name.
Mm-hmm.
Never trust a hyphenated name, JP.
Can't do it.
I'm older than you. I'm giving you wise advice. Listen to your elders. Don't trust a hyphenated name.
Noted duly.
Thank you. And when you find Mrs. JP,
Mrs. JP,
don't let her hyphenate her name.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
Just say it. We're waiting right now for Battle Los Angeles. That was a great movie, by the way. Have you ever seen that movie, Battle Los Angeles?
Mm-mm.
Stop it.
Sorry. I continue to disappoint with my lack of movie knowledge.
It's a new one. Aaron Eckhart. It's only about 10 years old.
Oh, yeah. No, I've not seen this one.
But I don't know who. Okay, I'm chasing a rabbit. I don't know who the military advisor was on this set. They were spot on. There were so many little nuances of military life built into this. It's almost as if they were actual military members filming it. But it's an alien invasion of Los Angeles, and the Marines are out there fighting in the streets trying to take it back.
Interesting.
It's a great movie. I mean, well done. Great movie. It's one of those, it's always on a Sunday afternoon or something. I'm laying on the couch and I'll watch it for the 15th time. Anyway, Judge Meme Ewusi Mensah Frimpong is apparently believed to be about to side with the ACLU in a legal action that might shut down Immigrations and Customs Enforcement from enforcing the law in the greater Los Angeles area. What? That's what it says. There's a leak. The leak says that a tentative decision is about to be rendered by the judge that would potentially block DHS from carrying out arrests at places, around town, like Home Depots and car washes. I don't know, places where illegals are hanging out. We'll wait and see. More on this. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back.
Capsize our boat and kill all of us, so they don't have to do the killing themselves. We believe that is their plan. But that storm, if they didn't capsize a boat, that they were hoping we would be floating in the South China Sea, starved to death because they disabled our engine. We couldn't go anywhere.
How long did you stay adrift after that?
Several days.
Wow.
Several days adrift. And that storm actually carried us to Indonesia, closer to Indonesia.
Which is where you wound up.
Yes.
In a refugee camp, am I right?
Yes. So the Indonesians saw a boat and they came out and they helped us.
That's an amazing circumstance.
Yeah, exactly. God just intervened.
How about that?
I believe that with all my heart.
Well, I believe it with you. So you got to Indonesia, and at this point, I mean, this has been a journey already, but you're not through.
No.
And now you go into a refugee camp that I saw one of your speeches, and it sounds like it was not really a well-established camp when you first got there. It was more like survival. Am I right?
Right. We were the second boat that arrived on that refugee camp.
Okay.
There was one other Vietnamese refugee boat there already. But every day, more refugees arrive on this island, and there was nothing on this island. There were not even shelter for us. Food was really scarce. There was still a little bit of food that we brought with us, and we ate what we had. And then we start eating things that we can found on the island. If you're lucky, you can catch fish out of the sea. But we ended up, I remember eating things like snails and trying to find leaves and barks and grubs that I ended up eating.
I heard you say on one speech that you could go on the show Survivor and do really well.
Yes, I think I can. I really can.
There's big money in that. You need to, well, but as a kid, so you're only 12 years old, and now you're eating grubs and making your own shelter, and you and your extended family are among how many people in this camp?
Well, like I said, thousands of people. I think it was
Oh, wow.
estimated about almost half a million refugee by the time that camp closed.
Wow. Who was running the camp? Was there an organized agency that was helping assist the camp, or was it just
Not
makeshift?
yet. We were there for several months before the international organization found that there were refugees there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what organizations wound up coming to your aid at some point?
It was CARE International
CARE, yeah.
and World Vision,
Okay.
the Catholic, I think some Catholic church
Okay.
organization.
Red Cross or UN, did they show up at all?
I can't remember. I just remember CARE, CARE, and I remember World Vision.
Well, so
Oh, and I do remember there was a ship that parked right outside of our camp eventually after several months, and it's called Sea Swift or something like
was it one of
that.
the Mercy ships at a hospital?
It's kind of like the Mercy ship because there were doctor and nurses that come in every day from the ship, and they made a little hut-like, little makeshift hospital there for people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Mercy ship.
Well, so once the aid organizations began coming in, and realize you're still in a refugee camp, so everything's very relative. But did life improve? I mean, did you have food? Did you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, life did improve. They brought in a lot of medicine for. Oh, that's another thing. There were people that start dying of dysentery.
Oh yeah.
If you're not dying of starvation, you die of dysentery.
I had dysentery in Afghanistan, and it's not fun.
Oh my gosh, that's what I had in the refugee. I almost died. I really thought I was going to die, honestly. In the refugee, I had dysentery so bad. But eventually they came in, they brought medication for all of us and food, lots of food.
In fact, now that you say that, I remember one of your speeches. You said to this day you still get a hankering for Spam once in
Yes.
a while because they brought Spam.
Yes, yes. That's where I learned how to eat Spam. Yes. We still have Spam. Right now in our pantry, we always have Spam.
Well, it's funny what sticks with you like that. So you're in this refugee camp. Living conditions may have gotten somewhat improved, but you're still not in a good place. Is your family still intact? Everybody still together?
Everybody's still together. And one of my uncle who serves in the Navy for the South Vietnamese Navy, so because he served, he get to pick what country to immigrate to.
Okay.
And of course, we picked the United States of America. Everybody wanted to come here.
Yeah.
This is the place.
Was it? And let me ask you about that because, in my time overseas and in my time in Afghanistan, I actually lived among the Afghan people for a year, and it's amazing. People who have never been to America still have an idealized version of what's here.
Yeah.
So you had never seen America, but you had seen Americans, I guess, during the Vietnamese War.
I have never had no.
So you had no interaction with
No
Americans
interaction.
before. What was the never having seen it? What was the mental image you had of America?
Cold.
It was cold.
Yes.
Okay.
What I remember as a little kid, always hearing that America is so cold.
Okay.
And even when we were in refugee camp and getting ready to come here to America, whatever money left, my aunt and uncle left, they brought us wool sweaters
Okay.
to come to America.
They hadn't been to the South.
No, and it was July when we came, and we wore high neck, 100% wool sweater arriving to Huntsville International Airport.
What did you imagine about life in America before you ever got here? What was your did you have certain things you expected to see or you couldn't wait to see? Or
I could imagine, because my life before communists, we had French things like cheese and butter and champagne, all that, and I thought, and we've always heard that America is even better than that. So as a little kid, I think about living in a castle, living in places, that had carpet, and I don't know. It's just like a fairy tale, I guess. As a little kid, I just thinking America is like it's like a fairy tale story.
Well, so the day came when you found out there was a sponsor in Athens, Alabama, of all places,
Athens, Alabama.
that was willing to sponsor a family from the camp.
Yes.
How did it turn out to be your views? And like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to hour number 2 on a Friday. Oh yeah, indeed. Welcome to hour number 2 on a Friday. We'll get you all the way to go home time. I'm in number 1 of the Triple Dipper, calling it the violent left wing. Let me get a couple of text messages real quick. You guys want to text in? You're welcome to it. 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. What do we got here? Oh, I'm sorry. We're also looking at, that's Richard from Madison again. He's not talking about the baseball now. He says, also Cory Booker and others are proposing legislation to require ICE agents to unmask and wear ID badges. Can we put in that legislation that rioters and protesters do the same? You are reading my notes, sir. I have a story I'm about to dive into on that very thing. And in fact, I'll go ahead and just pull it up. Where is the story that I had in my stack of stuff? Hang on. Darn it. It's probably on the very bottom. Yes, it's the last one in my stack. I hold it here in my calloused former paratrooper hands. Trump sees that Dems are floating a bill requiring the unmasking of ICE and CBP agents. They must hate America, he said. So yeah, we got Cory Booker and Alex Padilla. Alex Padilla, of course, famous for interrupting Kristi Noem's press conference and making a complete just turd of himself.
I find it funny that got headlines for like 6 hours. Because he wanted to be a martyr.
Yeah.
And he definitely was not.
And then he cried on the floor of the Senate.
Yeah.
Yeah. President Donald Trump, says Fox News Dateline yesterday or day before. President Donald Trump slammed a pair of Democratic lawmakers for introducing a bill that would require federal immigration law enforcement officers to not wear masks and have legible IDs while on the job, saying the lawmakers must hate our country or they wouldn't even be saying that. So yeah, they want to require CBP and ICE officers to have quote unquote legible IDs. What does that even mean? And they don't want CBP or ICE officers covering their faces. Would you ever sign that? Asked Peter Doocy. Well, they wouldn't be saying that if they didn't hate our country, Trump responded before praising ICE and CBP officers. They obviously do. I'm surprised that they would do it knowing a little bit about them. And he points out if you expose them, that the violent left, I'll paraphrase what the president's saying. The reason why they're having to wear masks is because of the violent left. The same thing, the same people that are throwing rocks through their windows, the same people that are assaulting them and their jobs, the same people that are doxing them and their families are the same people who would stand there with a camera, take their picture, and then post them on social media and tell everybody to go get them. That's exactly what they would do. That's what the left does. That's why they're so incensed. And by the way, have you looked at the protests? How many protesters are wearing masks? Virtually all of them. Why do protesters need masks? Nobody's doxing them. Oh, they're doing it so they won't be identified because they don't want to be arrested for doing things they know they're not supposed to be doing. Back to that story I had a moment ago about the judge who is expected to make a ruling sometime this afternoon. The leak that we have, townhall.com has it, says that the judge is preparing to side with the ACLU. This is Judge Meme Iwusi-Mensa Frimpong. That name, man, it kills me. It's her name. I shouldn't mock her name, but it does have a hyphen in it.
I feel like names are free range to be mocked, especially when you're doing stuff like this.
Okay. Anyway, what's Judge Meme saying? Meme saying that she's going to side with the ACLU. That the leak says it's a leak so far, and that it would block DHS from carrying out arrests at places like Home Depot, car washes, etc. That you would not be allowed to quote unquote rely on race, Spanish speaking, location, or type of work when making an immigration arrest. That's everything you rely on, y'all. That's everything. That's basically like saying, hey, I'm sorry. You appear to be over there, in an all Spanish speaking crew standing on a street corner outside of a Home Depot, and every one of you looks nervous when the police car drives by. And oh, by the way, we can tell that most of y'all have prior records. Why would we not stop and talk to you? Anyway, we'll see what the judge says. But our own U.S. Senator Katie Britt from Alabama, 1819 News has a piece that came out yesterday. Katie Britt calls it despicable and disgusting. Democrats are organizing attacks on ICE agents. So she was on Newsmax, and we got a soundbite of that. How much time we got? We good on time? Yeah, we are. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to call up soundbite 1. This is U.S. Senator Katie Britt speaking on Newsmax. I will say the intro on the Newsmax guy, he pretty much lays out where he feels about things before he even lets her speak. But go ahead and play it.
Let's expand this discussion with Alabama Senator Katie Britt. Senator, it's always fantastic to see you. Seems to me that the reason that left-wing rhetoric, anti-Americanism, and hatred for this country and our people has been allowed to grow and fester in the Democrat Party is the refusal of Republicans to not only unify in universal condemnation of that, but to do anything that punishes these Democrats for promoting or implementing that violence. Is it fair for a conservative like me to expect the GOP, an alleged opposition party, to, get around to opposing and stopping Democrat extremism?
All right, stop. Stop a second. What guy's name is he talking about?
What is? I'm gonna have Katie. I'm gonna have Katie Britt on the. I'm gonna tell Katie Britt what I think.
Yeah, but at the same time, what does he mean that Republicans aren't opposing it?
I don't know.
What Republicans are all for this? What Republicans are staying silent?
That sounded like when you need to get 1,000 words on an essay and you're at the end and I don't.
You're just mishmashing words together. But I still look at it and go, why is he pointing out Republicans? It's Democrats who are the ones encouraging all this action. Go ahead and play it. Her response.
Look, that's absolutely what we have to do. We have to unite. The rhetoric that we are hearing, the behavior from the left, it is despicable and it is disgusting. We need to be crystal clear. There are no gray areas in this. Think about what you just said. You said they were calling for blood in order to have action. We've heard them say, as you mentioned, that these flood victims deserved it because they were MAGA voters. I mean, this is absolutely gross. And it shouldn't be tolerated. And you think about this, the left and what they continue to egg on. This should be something that we should universally be able to stand shoulder to shoulder, both Democrat and Republican, and say this is fundamentally un-American. You think about the tragedy that occurred in Texas. You just told the story of those two siblings being found with locked hands. Look, as a mom, all I can think about and all I have thought about over the weekend is my own two children, 15 and 16, and their time at camp when they were younger and even now. And I am no different than every parent across America. Every parent, every grandparent, every aunt, every uncle is thinking about the heartbreak. They are lifting these families up in prayer, and they know that now is the time to unify. This is not normal behavior for people to be celebrating while families are grieving, while innocent angels are no longer with us. And it's got to stop. And I want to hear that not only from Republicans, but I want to hear it from Democrats too. They should be loud and they should be crystal clear that that type of rhetoric, that type of behavior has to end today.
All right, stop it right there. Yeah, great point. No, she nailed it. Yeah, because what we're seeing right now is the rhetoric out of the left, whether it be the left-wing pundits, whether it be the left-wing influencers, or even the left-wing political elected officials. They are more than just encouraging this. Some of them are using it as an opportunity, like a bludgeon, to attack politically, when what they're really doing is capitalizing on an awful situation in society. We have illegal immigration at epic levels, where we have had millions and millions of people stream across the border, many of them bringing criminal records with them, and then also just basically saturating our communities. And then all we're doing now is saying, you shouldn't be here, we're going to send you home. But you got the left literally capitalizing on all of this and using it as an opportunity to attack President Trump and Republicans. And you think, where's your head right now? Now, listen, I got to tell you, it's all across the board, and it's not just in California. Here, let me grab this one first. Tom Homan, God love him. Tom Homan, looking like old boy needs a nap right now. I'm saying that's a man who appears to never sleep. He has been neck deep in alligators on this stuff, but he's been going at it. So Tom Homan, piece I pulled off of Drew Berquist's podcast page. Border Czar Tom Homan announced on Tuesday he will travel to Portland, Oregon, in response to the ongoing Antifa-led occupation outside the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Antifa has been rioting and encircling the federal courthouse and the ICE detention facility in Portland for over 30 straight days. Can you imagine? Where are the Portland authorities? They could care less. In fact, some of them are probably stoking it behind the scenes. Homan said ICE would intensify its presence in sanctuary cities like Portland, reaffirmed the commitment of the agency to enforcing immigration laws. Said, I'm going to head to Portland. I'm going out there. They're not going to bully us. We're going to do our job. We're going to double down and triple down in sanctuary cities. Why not? Because they're blue, said not because they're blue, but because we know they're releasing public safety threats into the streets every day. Listen, it's something else. But you've even got people wanting to run for office right now on the idea of battling Trump on illegal immigration, encouraging the opportunity for people to do more to fight law enforcement. Like I'm sitting here looking at, so you know the band One Republic, JP?
I do.
See the article about the One Republic guy?
I did.
Yeah, one of the band members, the former bassist for One Republic, Tim Myers, announced he's going to run for lieutenant governor of California, and basically his platform is fight Trump. As lieutenant governor.
Yeah, I was going to say, lieutenant governor of California.
California.
Congratulations.
I'm running to fight Trump. And he says, I've heard from neighbors and friends whose homes and small businesses were robbed. Well, whose problem is that? I've watched homelessness grow. Well, whose problem is that? I've seen backdoor deals and political corruptions. Well, like, whose problem is that? Not just from Trump and his billionaire allies, but right here in our own backyard in California. And he says, I decided I couldn't stay silent. Well, good on you for getting involved. But if what you're saying is you're getting involved to run for state office so you can fight Trump, then I really question whether you're really going to do anything for law enforcement at all.
Yeah, because Trump did all that. That's all Trump's fault.
Yeah.
As governor of California.
Fight Trump. All right, take me to a break, JP. We'll take that break. We'll come right back, and I'll wrap this thing up. The violent left wing. That's where we are right now. And they are. And they're encouraged by their own leaders to keep being more violent. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. What was that like?
I think it was the Van Kirks of Athens. Mrs. Van Kirk was a Catholic, and there was a nun that came to her St. Paul Church and spoke on the plight of the refugee people and said, well, they need sponsor. They need to get out of the camp. They need sponsor. And it just really touched her heart. And that's when she and her husband decided to sponsor a family. And the Catholic Church placed our family with her family.
Did they have any limits, like we can only take 4, or did they say we'll sponsor whatever they consider to be their family and we'll take the whole thing?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I never asked her that question, and now she has long passed away.
So who notified you in the camp that you were going to be going to America?
It was one of the organization. I guess it's the Catholic organization.
Well, all right. So how did you come to America? By boat? By plane? What happened?
By plane.
Okay.
Yeah, we when
Is that
we
the first time you ever flew?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we left the original camp and moved to another bigger camp for 3 months, and there we were examined by the doctors and X-ray our lung to make sure we don't have TB. Some of us did have TB, and so it took a little bit longer to be on medication to get rid of it before we came to America. So we were there 3-4 months there on medications and make sure that we're healthy before we entered the U.S. So, and then we flew to Singapore. No, they took us to Singapore by boat, and we stayed there another week behind an enclosed camp there just to get us ready to come to America. And then there we flew to Seattle, Washington. That was the gateway.
Okay.
And then from there to Dallas, I think, and then Dallas to Huntsville International Airport.
So what was your first impression of the real America? I mean, what's the first thing that you, like looking back on it, what was the first thing that really struck you? I am in America. What did you see or hear or smell or feel?
Airport.
The airport? Okay.
And there was this lady at the airport walking around with a basket of big red, delicious apples. And I remember the smell of the apple and the look of the apple. We get apple in Vietnam, but they're all bruised and everything because they're shipped from somewhere, you know. But this was like so perfect. And I'm thinking, America is going to be like that red, delicious apple everything is perfect. Everything smells so good. You know, that was my first impression of America.
It's you know, again, it's one of those things where I think sometimes we take for granted where we are. It is way too easy for Americans, having always lived in the first world, to really appreciate what we have until you go somewhere and realize what they don't have.
Yeah.
But you came from just the opposite. You came from a period of time where your family had everything, then you lost everything and had literally nothing, and now you're here.
Yeah.
And
when
red apples made a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally, I don't think we even have a penny to our name when we came to America. We have nothing left.
Well, that brings up a point. So you came to America, but then what? I mean, so did they give you a job, a house? So now what? You've been sponsored, but what does that mean?
Yeah. So when we got to Athens, Alabama, the community of Athens and our sponsor provide us an apartment, a furnished apartment. And I remember seeing it for the first time. I remember take my shoes off and feel that carpet under my feet. It was so luxurious.
Wow.
And having flush toilet.
Oh, wow.
We didn't have to squat
Yeah.
to use the toilet. Running water, washer and dryer, soft beds. I remember open that refrigerator that was full of food.
Oh, they stocked the refrigerator for you too.
Yes. I remember seeing chicken in there that I didn't have to chase after, killed and plugged and cleaned.
Wow.
And gosh, I remember that bed was so soft that even one of my cousin, the boy, he was just 3 years old, and because he's got used to sleeping on the hard floor in the refugee camp, that he couldn't handle the soft bed. So every morning we would go wake him up. He'd be sleeping on the floor next to the bed.
Wow. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just saving the world one soundbite at a time. Bulletproof influence, my friends, bulletproof influence. So I got a piece here from Town Hall. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson pledged his city would never cooperate with federal immigration authorities. Well, nice. His remarks came during a press conference. He said, it's unconscionable at a time in which so many working people and poor people need government to show up for them. This administration, the Trump administration, has caused so much consternation and division. We're a welcoming city ordinance. What does that even mean? Our local police department will never cooperate with ICE, whatever their constitutional authority is. Okay, let me get this straight. Whatever their constitutional authority is, they still won't cooperate. I'm sorry, sir. You appear to have abdicated the throne. You need to be removed from office. You just flat out said the Constitution means nothing to you. That's liberal leftist leadership right there that is empowering people to do things the wrong way. Out there in Tim Waltz's, Temp on Tim State, Minnesota, ICE just did a raid and arrested, how many was it? Multiple illegal aliens, all of whom had been convicted of child sex crimes against children, or child sex crimes. Listen, this has got to be reined in. And the idea that they're defending this. So I got sound clip number 2. This is Mayor Karen Bass. That woman is like a walking cartoon. She's like, there's like an entire cottage industry of memes about her. She is just absolutely so in over her head. It's amazing that she's even a mayor of anything. Can she be a mayor of her own house? Anyway, this is Mayor Karen Bass. Play it.
He's signing an executive directive, which essentially puts all city departments and city leadership on notice to protect Angelenos, essentially from the federal government. Just think about that for a minute. We want to make sure that our city departments are prepared in case ICE shows up at their door. How are they to respond? We want to make sure, of course, that they abide by the law, but we want them to know their rights, which means that ICE can't come barreling into the library just randomly looking for people. They have to have a specific warrant, and if they don't, then they can't come in. We also are filing a Freedom of Information Act because we want to know, who are these masked men and why are they masked in the first place? Why can't they show identification? Why are they driving in unmarked cars with tinted windows and no license plate? Why do they jump out of the cars armed? And why are they snatching people off the street? All of this needs to stop. But I just want to end with this. How ironic is it that I signed an executive directive to protect Angelenos from our federal government?
That woman is a nut job.
She's like a talking bobblehead. Like,
She is like a talking bobblehead. Yes, she is. But I look at that. There's so many things in there we could dissect. But my gosh, first of all, a FOIA request, really? A FOIA request so you can dox police officers? That's what she wants. She wants a FOIA request so that she can do what with the names? Once you get the names, what are you going to do with them? You're gonna sue them individually. You're gonna dox them. You're gonna send protesters to their house. Do you not remember how the protesters surrounded the houses of Supreme Court justices in the wake of Roe v. Wade? You don't remember all that stuff about the guy who drove from California so he could kill Justice Brett Kavanaugh? You don't remember this stuff? You're the mayor protecting Angelenos. No, you're protecting illegal aliens. You're not protecting Angelenos. These are freaking illegal aliens. They are here illegally, and they are not your constituents. They just happen to live right now in your city, and you are the mayor of the city. And what you just did is literally say, law enforcement's wrong, criminals are right. I'm doing what I can to make criminals even more right and put law enforcement at risk. That's what she said. And by the way, ain't nobody from ICE barreling their way into libraries without a warrant. They go out to the pot farm yesterday and have to use tear gas at the rioters. Guess what? They were serving actual warrants. You know what you get a warrant from? From a judge. You know how the judge looks at it and decides to sign off on it? Because you gave the judge probable cause. And guess what? Every time they go, they actually arrest people. You know why? Because they're here illegally. That's why. This woman actually, listen, I am not one to say do away with democracy, but sometimes I wonder why people like her are even allowed to run for office. What are her qualifications? She was an actual anarchist. She's a communist activist. And now she's the mayor of Los Angeles. On the one hand, I think LA, you get what you deserve, right? But on the other hand, I used to live out in the LA area. Orange County is beautiful. How about this? Let's get some of our big cities back. Can we please? Well, that was a rant.
that's a good one. Yeah.
But I'm just telling you, it's
just amazing. Like you said, the people they're going after aren't Angelans. They're the exact opposite. They're taking away from Los Angeles citizens.
They're waving Mexican flags at the protests.
Yeah.
They could care less about being Angelenos. They just want your stuff, Mayor. They want all the free stuff you sanctuary cities keep giving them. My God. Bill Williams, Rightside Radio. Whew, I need a break. How about JP on sports? That'll be a good break. We'll be right back.
Family come every single week to take us to the store, to take us to the health department, to take us to the dentist, enrolled us kids in school. They came taught us English.
So they didn't just sponsor your trip. They sponsored your family to live.
Yes.
Wow.
To help us be successful.
Was this out of one church or was this a group of friends? What was this?
It was that family, and they included their friends and two churches. Mr. Van Kirk was a Presbyterian. Mrs. Van Kirk was a Catholic. So they had two churches involved.
Okay.
And then, of course, their family and their friends also. So I've always, it was not like a government program. It was just the people in the community rallying together to help this refugee family. And I tell you, we would not be a successful family if it wasn't for the community of Athens. I mean,
I think you just nailed something too. You know, in communism, the government does everything.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you came here, and it was private citizens who did
Yeah.
everything,
That's right.
and they did it out of the joy of their hearts.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
That refrigerator, you talked about that in one of the speeches I watched. You talked about that refrigerator, and you said a few things just now. There was a chicken in there. You didn't have to catch it and pluck it first. But you also talked about one time when you thought you needed to eat some ice cream that was in the freezer.
Yes. So we're, of course, we came from a refugee camp, so food was, you eat everything.
You don't waste anything.
You don't waste anything.
Yeah.
So one day we're just sitting around, looking in the freezer and refrigerator and see what we can try. And we took out this tube of thing that looked like an orange sherbet.
Okay.
And we all took a spoon to get us try this American orange looking sherbet. And we all went, oh my goodness, this tastes terrible. It was so strong. But because we just came from refugee camp, we sat there and ate a whole tube of orange sherbet.
And it wasn't orange sherbet.
No, a few days later, our sponsor, Mrs. Vankert, came over and she helped to make breakfast, American breakfast for us. The southern grits and the bacon and the eggs. And she went into the freezer to look for this orange looking sherbet tube. And she couldn't find it. And we told an interpreter that we ate it. And it was horrible. And the interpreter told us that it wasn't sherbet. It was actually orange juice concentrate that we ate.
Oh, my gosh. I bet that was strong. That'd take the enamel right off your teeth.
Yeah.
Well, but I think you made a point, though. Having come from where you come from, you don't waste anything.
No.
You don't. And I would bet that was more than just food. It was probably everything. Everything had purpose, and everything could be repurposed if necessary. Well, so you just mentioned a minute ago, though, you were working through an interpreter. How was the language barrier? You come to America, it's the land of promise. It's the fairy tale you're talking about. There's a stocked refrigerator and soft beds, but you don't speak the language. So how was that barrier overcome?
Well, there was an interpreter, and her name is Anne, and she show up once in a while to help, interpret. But most of the time, we don't have her. So we just point. A lot of time, we just point at each other or point at things, and there was a lot of smiles. There was a lot of nodding.
Nodding heads.
Yeah. And we just follow them whatever they want us to do. We're just so grateful to their kindness and the community.
Well, and I heard too, you learned to speak Southern American.
I did. 2 syllables to everything. Right?
2 syllables to everything. And one of the things hey, all you Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, this show, goes like from Huntsville back over to Chattanooga and from Tuscaloosa back on over to Gadsden and all the way down to that lovely little village on the plains we call Auburn, straight across the border from there to Fort Benning, and then big old patches of North Georgia and Mississippi all thrown in just for good measure. And that's just the radio. Then there's all y'all out there in the whole wide world going to the World Wide Web watching us live stream the show every single day on Rumble, YouTube, X, Facebook, and oh, by the way, on our website, rightsidemedia.org. And then for all of y'all that podcast after the fact, hello to you too. Thank you very much. I say all that to say thank you to every version of our audience that's out there. Thank you very much for making this worth doing. All right, this is a part on a Friday afternoon where we set aside just for a moment the politics and the culture wars, and we take a look at things from a sports perspective, because in case you did not know it, JP here is like a guru on sports. He says things I've never heard of in sports. I'm a sports fan. He's a sports man. So all that to say, he's also got his own sound effect. Did you like that, by the way? I'm a sports fan.
That was good.
You're a
Yeah.
sports man. I just
That was
came
good.
out. It just happened. But he also has, oh, by the way, his own sound effect, courtesy of sorority girls at Auburn. Hit it. Nice. All right. First round's called the 3 and out. Second round's called the 2-minute warning. 3 and out. 3 stories. Go.
Well, so we got the MLB All-Star Weekend in Atlanta this upcoming weekend. This kind of reignited an old wound, though, of one of the most outrageous things I've ever seen that took place. So the MLB All-Star Weekend coming to Atlanta is about 4 years delayed. And if you remember, in 2021, actually, the All-Star game was going to go to Atlanta, and then MLB changed it to Colorado because Georgia passed an election integrity law.
I'd forgotten this.
And claimed that it was, so they assembled this coalition in the MLB, like the Players Alliance or something, of black MLB players after the George Floyd incident. And so that alliance apparently told MLB to move it because the Georgia integrity law was racist and infringed on, minorities to vote in Georgia. It was the most bogus and outrageous thing. One of the most outrageous things I've seen in sports. Well, I mean, you got Rob Manfred making this decision, who is a joke himself. And this is the same guy that said the Astros cheating won't get any punishment. The trophy won't get taken away because the trophy is just a piece of metal. Like, this is who the MLB commissioner is. And so whenever I remembered, oh yeah, it's coming back to Atlanta this year, I just thought back to how crazy times were in 2021 that the All-Star weekend was taken away from Georgia, and all the thousands of dollars, millions of dollars that would have come into Atlanta and Georgia because they passed a voter integrity act.
That's back when, like, critical race theory and BLM and the 1619 Project and all of it was just peaking and holding the world hostage. It was ridiculous.
It was funny, though, because the Braves won the World Series that year, so they had.
I remember that. It was like payback.
Oh, and when Manfred was having to come to Atlanta, give him the trophy, like, he just got booed out of the place, and it was righteous. However, like I said, it's a bit 4 years too late, but I'm still glad that apparently now the voter law, the same law that's in place, isn't racist anymore. Apparently, it's like,
not anymore. It was only racist in 2021.
It was only racist in 2021. So. I'm glad to see it come to Atlanta, but 4 years too late, but I'll still take the win there.
All right. That's one. What's two?
So I think this is a very interesting story. I think it's a very interesting conversation. And this is an area where my two biggest things I consume kind of merge into one, of MMA and politics. I don't know if you've seen this story. Apparently, next year, the 4th of July, we're going to have a UFC fight on the White House lawn. And it was actually confirmed by Dana White himself that this is going to happen. I actually have a quick 30-second clip of Dana talking about this. If you want to play it real quick.
Your call, man. Your segment. Take it.
Crazy.
Ever.
So when something like this happens, I know you had the challenge of the sphere. What challenges does this bring?
Tons of challenges. First of all, I don't even know how many people can get in, not to mention the fact that Secret Service isn't going to let a lot of people come do this. Everybody's going to have background checks. So yeah, whoever actually gets to be there live, it will be such a unique, amazing experience in their lifetime to be able to go to this fight. And for us, when you think about when the fight is going on, while the fight's happening and we're filming, one whole side of the backdrop will be the White House, and then the other side will be the Washington Monument. So it's so unique, so badass, and so once ever, like you said.
What are ticket prices going to be like for that event?
Well, I don't even think we'll sell tickets to that event. I think they'll all be comped. Yeah, it'll all be comp tickets.
That's pretty sick, though. Wow. The White House and the Washington Monument on the backdrop.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about that? How do you feel about the White House or the having a UFC fight on the lawn? How do you feel about that?
I mixed feelings. I mean, part of me does not want to see the commercialization of the White House lawn.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it be cheapened into an entertainment venue.
Yeah.
I also think it could create a weird paradigm where, what if there's a national event or something that and all of a sudden you got the octagon set up right there in the middle of the lawn. I'm assuming they're going to still have the ability to land Marine One. But I don't know. I so mixed feeling. On the other hand, I love the fact that Trump is accentuating what I consider to be the edgy part of society, and rewarding people like Dana White who have been loyal and saying, let's do a thing, man. Let's do a thing. It's just like Trump to go, let's do a thing. What do you think? And so it's cool, but like I said, I'm mixed on it.
That's why I think it's interesting conversation, because I mean, I'm a bit biased because I think politics and MMA are probably like the two things I'm the biggest junkies on and consume the most. So like if I could see an opportunity for that to merge, I'm like instinctively just be like, that's awesome. But then also there's that feeling of is it sort of making a mockery of our, White House, or that's kind of supposed to be like sacred, I guess. And people have been comparing it to like ancient Rome of like the emperor, like sitting back at the Colosseum and like, I don't know. Well, we guess we still got a long time for a whole year, so anything could happen in the meantime to throw a wrench.
And it may also not happen. It's still possible they might move it out to the mall or something like that. But they have events out at the mall all the time. But the other question I have is, part of the MMA environment is the crowd.
Yep.
And
yes, absolutely.
And so if you have a good card and you have great fighters who've earned the right to be there, but there's only like 100 people going, yay. Is it going to have the same feel?
I mean, there's the UFC Apex, which the UFC built during COVID to have fights and limited fans, which they're still using, and it kind of annoys me. But I don't know, MMA world has gone through a period of less fans and no fans. So I don't know if that will be a big factor, but I think that the main factor of it is the mix of politics and the sport, because 90% of MMA fans are conservative and Republicans, and Trump gets some of his biggest crowd pops going into UFC events.
Yeah, he does.
So I think majority of the fans think it's cool. However, there's a lot of the MMA journalists that are not so thrilled by this and think that they're tired of seeing Trump in events. And
come on, he brings nothing but notoriety to their venue.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. I think 90% of MMA fans are for this, but I do think it is a conversation worth having of like, is it something we should be for to, is this making a mockery of the White House? Is this the commercialization of it? So I don't know. We'll see We'll come back next year and see if it actually happens.
All right. That's 2. What's 3?
I'm going to keep talking about this story because I don't think this story's gone away. And I think it's a interesting story.
I know where you're going right
Bruce
now.
Pearl
I knew you were going there.
Because every time we think the story's done, somebody says something and my initial reaction is like, okay, well, if the story's dead, then there still wouldn't be chatter about it, because obviously there must be chatter behind the scenes about it. But you actually sent me this article of Charles Barkley saying that he would support Bruce Pearl running for Senate. Said it would be unfortunate to see him leave Auburn, but that he would back him. And I just think that, and it's like,
isn't Barkley a Democrat?
Barkley is like a old school Democrat / he hates politics altogether, both sides.
He's from the Barkley party.
Yeah, he's one of those both sides are awful kind of people. But my initial reaction is, like I said, if Barkley's not saying that, if it's not like he's hearing something, but like that's not just something you say out of nowhere. Like, oh yeah, if he ran for Senate, I'd support him. Like, obviously there's something to the story. But then you also floated up off air the possibility, he gave money to Democrats, so it's going to be hard for him to run as a Republican, Bruce Pearl. And will he run as an independent? And if he does, will he be a spoiler for any Republicans who run in the Senate race? And my initial thought of that is, oh gosh, this is a perfect opportunity for somebody like Doug Jones, Democrat, while Bruce Pearl's taking votes away from Republicans, and then somehow we get another Doug Jones situation. And that just cannot happen, in my opinion. But on 3, or it was actually Rivals, which is another sports outlet, one of their guys predicted that Bruce is going to leave mid-season, go run for Senate, and hand the keys over to his son Stephen Pearl to run it. Which Nike, in their release announcing Auburn joined Nike, the only sport where they had the assistant coach be like the quote, like the person with the quote on their press release, was basketball, where Stephen Pearl was their guy they referenced instead of Bruce Pearl. So it's just like stuff like that's adding up of like, I don't know. I feel like Bruce is eventually going to run, but he kind of put up a post saying like, I love my nation, but I love Auburn more. It's like, okay, well, the story's not dying yet. There's still something to the story. There's still life to the story. So I don't know. Could we see an independent Bruce Pearl run for Senate? I hope not, but we'll see.
Here's the other weird dynamic. is I don't think the residency requirements to run for the U.S. Senate are that stringent,
Mm-mm.
and he might be able to step across the line into Georgia and run as a Republican for all we know.
That's true. It's
wow.
it's
I just started a
interesting,
rumor.
Yeah, they did. Just start a rumor. So who knows? We still got time, but I find it interesting. The story is not dead yet.
All right, 3 and out. There you go. You ran it right to the clock. Good job. All right, that's round 1 of JP on Sports called the 3 and out. We come right back, and I've got a timer and a buzzer. He does a series of stories we call 2-minute warning, 2 minutes each. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. Oh, you say a lot of times you'll say y'all and then laugh about it.
Yes.
Because you grew up in South Vietnam, so it fits.
Exactly. Love the South.
Well, so, all right. You're a kid with a language barrier from another country, learning that there's places in the world that you can actually turn on the water and turn on the electricity and and that everything typically works. But you still have to find your way. I mean, at some point, the other people sponsoring you are going to have to say, we need to help you find a job, or we need to help you get in school. So how did life begin to normalize, and when did your family begin to be able to do things without the assistance of others?
Yeah, it was probably they were with us for at least a couple of years.
Wow,
believe it or not.
That's amazing.
Isn't it?
That's the goodness of people right there.
Oh my goodness!
Praise God.
The love that they shown is just unbelievable. Some of them with us, checking in on us, even after a year or two, they were still checking in on us. And and they found jobs for my uncle at Conagra at the chicken plant there in Athens. He started working there and earned some money. And us kids were enrolled in school.
Okay.
And the school was, oh my goodness, they were so loving. I remember my 3rd grade teacher, because I didn't know the language, she had picked a child out the class to follow me everywhere I went to make sure I didn't get lost.
Wow. But you said 3rd grade, but you were probably 13 or 14 years old by now, right?
I was 13, yeah, because I spent 14 months in the refugee camp. At this point, I was near 15.
Because that's usually middle school, almost high school age, but you're in 3rd grade.
Yes.
So I guess they had to do an assessment to find out where you were academically and place you?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you were older than all the kids?
Yes. Yeah.
Did it matter?
No, I'm not. I wasn't any bigger than them, actually. Oh. I was smaller. I was malnourished from the camp, and I was smaller than some of them, actually.
Wow.
And they would, at that time, I don't think they have the ESL
English second language.
Yeah, program yet.
Yeah.
But one of the language teacher pulled me out of class every day for an hour or so and worked with me.
Okay.
On the language. Yeah.
I've seen more than once that in families that come from foreign countries that the children learn the language quicker than the adults.
Absolutely.
Did you become the interpreter for the family?
Pretty much.
Yeah?
Yeah. My sister and I were, yeah, pretty much. My aunt and uncle, eventually, they learned English, and they both went to Calhoun and earned an associate degree.
Oh, yeah, for those who don't know, it's Calhoun Community College.
Yes.
So that's outstanding. So they were pursuing not just living, they were pursuing like improving their lot in life and doing which is also amazing because I think we have so many Americans that grew up in the first world, they forget the opportunities they have around them.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's what immigrants like me see, that America is full of opportunities. And that's why all immigrants want to come here, because they see those opportunities that we as Americans sometimes miss living here.
Well, so how long were you, did you stay in a grade level below your age?
No,
throughout?
after 3rd grade, they decided to skip the 4th grade. So I skipped 4th grade and I continued to go to school. And I was 22 when I graduated from high school. From
22?
Athens. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did anybody know that you were 22?
No. No. Because at that time I probably could buy alcohol.
Well, yeah, probably could. You might have been the best friend.
Yes.
So, you came from a vastly different culture with a vastly different perspective on life, and also maybe a deeper appreciation for what is needed versus what is wanted.
Right.
But then you got into like American junior high and American high school, and did you enjoy high school? Was it fun? Did you do sports or anything? What was it? No.
So we saw the opportunities that was here in America for us, and we knew that we left relatives at home that are struggling.
Yeah.
So I didn't have your typical high school, high schooler that's going to sport and going to doing all these things that high schooler do. And at that time in Athens, every Friday night they would ride around the square.
And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just pulling pins on truth grenades. That's what we're doing. All right, we're going to the next round, the second round of JP on Sports. This is the one we call the 2-minute warning. I've got a stopwatch and a buzzer, and he's got 2 minutes on each story. Just run with it, brother. All right, ready? Go.
So this story's crazy. So Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., the son of the legendary boxer who within himself is also a former champion boxer, he fought Jake Paul two weekends ago, I believe. And after the fight, gets arrested by ICE for apparently being a member of the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico. I saw that, and my initial thought was, how did he get into the country in the first place? But then again, they probably let him come into the country so they could arrest him. But apparently he's got, like I said, he's within the Sinaloa cartel. But also I saw a report that he's apparently like the guy they send to deal with people that, I
he's
saw
the
a report,
enforcer.
the enforcer. I saw one of him having people as a body bag, and he just beating up on them. But that's just one of the craziest stories. I mean, it's fitting in this, the Trump administration. They're not letting anybody slip through the cracks that come into the nation. But he comes over, fights Jake Paul, loses, and then gets arrested by ICE. Did anybody in the world have a worse week than Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.?
Did they arrest him to charge him with crimes or just deportation? What do we got?
I believe they arrested him for crimes. Like there were warrants out for his arrest.
Wow. What a chucklehead to come across the border for the fight.
Yeah, arrogant enough to think that he's not going to get caught. And so, yeah, you lose a fight and then get arrested and potentially deported.
That's a bad day.
That's a bad week. That's a bad 3 or 4 days, especially losing to Jake Paul.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Just to lose to Jake Paul.
Yeah, you lose to Jake Paul and get arrested by ICE. It's not a good week.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Well, you came in under the wire on that one, so I'll reset the clock and go.
Oh, man. The jealousy of the WNBA towards Caitlin Clark cannot be hidden anymore.
Oh, my gosh.
So the WNBA All-Star Weekend is coming up, and they had, the fan vote for All-Star, which is the vote that selects people to be All-Stars. The fans go and vote for who they think should be, on the All-Star team. And Caitlin Clark set a record for the WNBA for votes to be on the All-Star team. Over 1.2 million votes for her to be an All-Star.
Oh, is this a fan base vote?
These are the fan base vote for Caitlin Clark. So set a record 1.2 million. Do you want to guess where she ranked on the player vote? So the players amongst themselves also had a vote. Do you want to guess where she was on the player vote?
Not on the list.
She was ninth best player on the according for her colleagues. And you see that and you're like, okay, you can't deny it anymore that you just hate her because she's successful. You're jealous of her, something, because you can't deny the impact Caitlin Clark is having on the WNBA.
Please tell me Brittany Griner and Angel Reese didn't come out higher.
Oh, I'm sure. I don't have the list. I don't think Angel Reese did, but a bunch of people were ahead of her that should not have.
I just saw where Angel Reese slapped the clipboard out of her coach's hands on the court side.
Oh yeah, she's her own. I'm not quite sure if she's as bad as people are making it. I think there's a lot of trolls who are making it seem bad, but I do think she's not as good as she thinks she is. So there's that.
But Caitlin Clark is as good as
Caitlin Clark 100% is. So that's just. That stat right there, you look at one side, 1.2 million votes from the fans to be the All-Star, and then the players put her 9th overall. That's just mind-boggling to
But what
me.
does that happens to her? Does she
Oh no, she's still the player vote doesn't have an impact. It's just, I guess, like a thing they do for fun or whatever. But it is telling, and apparently, I mean, that just it puts it on paper. The jealousy.
There's your buzzer. All right. Wow. Good Lord. Caitlin Clark. All right. The story that keeps on going.
Yeah.
Reset the clock. Ready, go.
So we have a little Alabama in-state rivalry, Iron Bowl football story coming up here. So there's a story with Hugh Freeze. You know, Auburn has been their fans themselves have been complaining that Auburn has not been doing the recruiting they think they're able to. I think Auburn currently is 90th, I believe, in the recruiting rankings this year. And below teams, they should not be below. Like, they have much more resources than teams ahead of them. So there's been a lot of Auburn fans who have been upset about it. And then Hugh Freeze told reporters, he says, well, you know, with this new revenue sharing, we believe that we're doing it the right way and all the other teams are doing it the wrong way. And basically kind of gave an excuse as to why they're not recruiting as well as they should have. Well, AJ McCarron on his podcast, he let Hugh Freeze have it. The former Alabama quarterback, AJ McCarron, he said Hugh Freeze is full of it. I won't say what he actually said, but he said he's full of it, said he's making excuses and that he's feeling the pressure from his boosters that he's not living up to what he should be doing at Auburn and that he's trying to save face right now.
All that would be true.
Which is, you see that and you're like, dang. And then you think every Auburn fan would probably agree with him. Every Auburn fan would probably agree.
Speaking as one.
Yeah. But it's like, wow. Auburn, like I said, has more of the resources than the teams that are ahead of them right now in recruiting. And I'm sorry, we have interpretations from our lawyers on how we should be doing things in this new era of college football. And everybody else is doing it the wrong way. That argument just does. It's such an excuse, in my opinion. And also, there's been Hugh Freeze apparently is playing a lot of golf. AL.com even wrote an article on it. He played 11 rounds of golf in June, which is a lot. So you look at, okay, Auburn struggling recruiting wise. Hugh Freeze is constantly on the golf course.
That means every third day he went and played golf.
Yes, there's got to be an interlink between that. So I don't know. Listen, the season hasn't started yet. Hugh Freeze can go and have a great season in Auburn and be fine. But this appears to be the make or break here.
I had to cut you off so you quit talking about Auburn. All right, you got a little bit of time left. What do you think? Can I reset the clock and take a?
We got about 30 seconds here.
Give me something.
So we have a SCORE Act in Congress right now, which is relating to NIL. That actually Alabama Shamari Figures, a Democrat, is supporting it. So I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. But here's what it does. So it sets a national framework for student athletes' rights and responsibilities related to NIL compensation. And it guarantees a range of student athlete benefits, including academic and career support, health and medical services, injury related protections, and grant and aid guarantees both during and after enrollment for Division I schools. So I'm not sure, what they're. I understand they're trying to get a base nationwide something with NIL. But I don't know, granting them all those. I feel like student athletes already have those services when they're part of the team here. So I don't know, more to come. This act just came up, but I'll see whoever supports it probably tell all on if this bill is good.
Shamari Figures supports it. That's automatically a red flag for me.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. JP on sports, man. That flew by. Great job, man. All right, we got more. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, third hour, Friday coming up. We'll be right back.
Car, with their music blasting. That was the thing to do. Yeah. I didn't get to do any of that stuff because I was working.
Okay, where'd you work?
So my aunt and uncle, they earned an associate degree from Calhoun Community College, and they both got jobs. And from that, they saved their money enough to buy a Chinese restaurant.
Really?
In Huntsville, which is 30 minutes, about 20 to at that time, about 20 minutes drive from Athens.
Okay. Yep.
So they bought the restaurant, and so I worked there, 7 days a week in high school.
All right, so I grew up in Huntsville.
Yeah,
you know that. You know some of my family. We discovered earlier.
Uh-huh.
Where was the restaurant?
It's no longer there.
Okay.
It was a Hong Kong Chinese restaurant on North Parkway, before you get to Max Luther.
Yeah, I think I've eaten there.
No way! I might have served you.
You might have. That's crazy.
Yeah. So let's see. It was right next to. It was attached to a hotel that has the orange roof.
The orange roof. Yeah.
Oh.
Your husband's over here wanted to say it.
Yeah,
Don't worry
I
about
know,
it.
I know.
But the reality is, so your family
oh,
had a
gosh.
restaurant and you worked in it. How many days a week did you work there?
7 days.
Oh, so you went to school and worked 7 days a week.
I would go to school. After school, I would drive up to Huntsville and work there, waiting tables. And in between waiting tables, I'm doing my homework.
So you've definitely got a work ethic.
Yes.
The restaurant was where you spent the majority of your free time, which wasn't really free, but was the whole family involved in the restaurant?
Yes. My aunt and uncle, of course, my aunt would quit her job to run the restaurant. My uncles continued to work just to keep the insurance.
Yeah.
And my sister would stay back home to take care of their boys who were still in school. But I helped with the restaurant during the week. And then on the weekend, everybody, the whole family worked. On Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, the whole family worked in the restaurant.
I think the other thing that too often Americans miss, and not everybody, because there's entrepreneurial spirit here. There's still a great sense of industry in the United States, and there are people that appreciate what we have, but there's also people too often that become complacent and don't realize that sometimes hard work really does pay off. And that's also honoring God. That's a stewardship of what he gave you.
Exactly.
Part of stewarding is even your time.
Right.
The relationships that you had with the sponsors who were with you for 2 years. One of the things that strikes me, there's a passage, and I've got to think where it is right now, but I think it's in 1 Thessalonians, but it says, because you had become so dear to us, we were content not only to share the gospel with you, but even our very lives as well. Meaning that what you had was a deep relationship with these people. Did that continue even after the first 2 years? Did the families you had seen that sponsored you and helped you, were they still around? Were you still seeing them?
Yeah. We still continue to see some of them. Yeah.
You said something in one of your speeches too about something. I'm jumping around a little bit, but you said something about one of the things that really got you was a Salvation Army angel tree.
Yeah. That first Christmas in America. I was 13.
Okay.
And then my sister, who was 10, 11. And then I have three, my aunt and uncle had 3 boys. They're younger. So that very first Christmas, I woke up, don't understand anything about Christmas.
You grew up Buddhist? Is that right? I think I heard you say that. Yeah.
I grew up, well, my family, Buddhist, but we weren't like practicing Buddhist, religiously or anything like that. I think it was just one of those things that you kind of pass on from your ancestor.
It was cultural religion as much as anything.
Yeah. And so I remember waking up Christmas morning, and there was a Christmas tree that's decorated. And there's these big mesh bag. At that time, it was the angel tree. Came from the Salvation Angel Tree, which I didn't know that it came from Salvation Angel Tree, Salvation Angels Tree program.
Yeah,
I didn't know that, but I remember waking up, seeing that the tree and these big mesh bag that full of toys and oranges, and I remember at that time. Now I'm dated back. The strawberry shortcake, little strawberry shortcake dolls, that smell just like strawberry shortcake. I remember smelling it for the first time. And it makes such an impression. I'm like, who did this? Who would do this for us? It would just make such a big impression on me that a few years later, I found out that it was the Salvation Army Angel Tree, and I wanted to volunteer there. Oh, wow. And help. And so I got to volunteer with that program for several years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Give back.
To give back.
Yeah.
Because it makes such a huge impression on me.
Well, so let me ask you this. So you came to America with, you called it a fairy tale ideal of what America might be, never having seen it. Now you've been here for a few years. Was it living up to expectations?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
So no deflation, no loss of the ideal?
No, part of it because we knew what communism did to our country, and we knew that my parents and some of my 4 siblings and cousins and aunts and uncles in Vietnam, I knew that they were struggling so badly that anything is better than what they are living. And America has given us these opportunities we're just so grateful to whatever America gave us, and we seize it, and work really hard. I've always, when I go and speak to kids now, I've always like, you don't have to be the smartest kid in the classroom. You just got to show up and work. That's all.
I practiced law, and I was told by an old lawyer back when I was a new lawyer. I won't say young because I wasn't young, but I was told by an old lawyer when I was a new lawyer. He said, "You don't have to be the smartest lawyer in town. You just have to be the hardest working."
Yep.
He said, "Most lawyers are lazy." He said, "You do the work and do the research and prepare yourself. You'll beat the smartest lawyer in town every time."
Exactly.
Oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Welcome to hour number 3. Hour number 3 on a Friday. All right, listen, we're getting you all the way to go home time. I'm going to get some text messages here. So far today, we talked about sports with JP. We got the violent left wing that we've talked about in detail. Coming up in a minute, I'll jump into military mindedness. But let me get some text messages from you guys. 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. Text me your thoughts, and I'll get to them. While some of y'all are still texting in, let me just say, I was just looking up at the news screen. So we talked about earlier that almost surreal situation in California where a marijuana farm, a pot farm, was raided by ICE, and it turned into a full-scale riot. We have, people who were assaulting ICE officers, and one guy appears to have pulled a gun and fired at them. We've got rocks and debris being thrown at ICE vehicles, and roads being blocked, all of it. It's madness. But I also just saw for the first time, I had not seen this, the total number of arrests. They arrested over 200 illegal aliens at this one site. 200. Y'all, that is not an accident. There is no way in the world someone looks at that and goes, well, a few of them forged their documents and we just weren't aware. We were trying to do a good job. No, you got 200. And oh, by the way, 9 of them were unaccompanied minor illegal aliens. Unaccompanied minors working a pot farm. Okay, no, the number went up to 10. Now it's 10. Fox is reporting that number. I'm looking at the screen. This is real time here. The violent mob tries to stop the raid at a California pot farm. 10 migrant children found on the scene. So unaccompanied was the word. Just the whole thing is surreal. 200, y'all. That we might actually meet our deportation goal if we can keep doing 200 at a whack. Just saying. What?
I hope so. But also my thought is, okay, well, how did all these protesters know beforehand? Like, that's what makes it seem like not organic.
Yeah, where'd the pink hairs come from?
Yeah. And they came out and they all let them have, like, throwing rocks at the vans and stuff. These weren't just people with signs and stuff. Like, no, we're actually going to attack you. Like, there's a war against ICE, and I wonder who's funding it all. Maybe it rhymes with something like Schmoros or, that guy. Something like it. Something's up. But I wish there would be an effort to actually track down and arrest those people who not only are doing that, but the people who are funding it.
Yeah, I completely agree. By the way, the owner of the pot farm is now under investigation. Go figure. And well, she should be. I think it's a she. I saw a story about it earlier. Moon Pie from Madison checking in. Says, I'm a little younger than Phil from Anniston, and although not a baseball fanatic, the Braves were my team growing up. During the Dale Murphy, Bob Horner, etc. days, yeah. Seasons like the current one were par for the course. Silver lining, you could buy a nosebleed ticket to an Atlanta Fulton County Stadium and then walk down to the good seats that were open. Wow. In 1991, the first above 500 years in 1983, I saw this bumper sticker. It said, "This year is next year, finally."
Yeah, I think I'd be a lot.
Wow.
I think I'd be a lot more upset right now if I didn't get to watch them win the World Series in 21. That's just getting to watch my favorite team win with my dad was pretty awesome. So I'll take it, I guess.
Just watching, or do you go to a game?
Oh, we watched. No, the tickets were like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
No, we didn't go, but it was awesome.
Still, that's good. Bobby from Huntsville says Bongino and Bondi in the link above. Yeah, so story out right now that allegedly some are saying Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are both so disgruntled with the way the Epstein file thing was handled that they are ready to turn in their notice and quit. I don't know yet. I would hope not. And I would also think that this is a really poor form. In fact, if they're doing that, if that's happening while Trump's touring damages in Texas right now, like he is, poor form. But Trump's going to have to go back to the White House and summon the three of them into the Oval Office and read them the riot act. Anyway, but I get what's happening. I mean, if there's disgruntlement with the way the whole Bondi file, I mean, the whole Bondi file, the whole Epstein file was handled, I get it, because it was pretty ham-handed. Shane from Lacey Springs checking in. Oh, look at this. Is this little bitty? This Ivy? Oh, look at that. Little bitty Ivy. Man, oh man, oh man. Little, oh man, look at her. So Ivy, okay, let me back up. Some of y'all are probably wondering what in the world I'm doing here. Shane from Lacey Springs texted the show just a couple of days ago and said, would y'all please pray for my granddaughter, Ivy? She's 9 months old, and she was in the middle of a heart transplant when he texted. A heart transplant, a new heart. He says, so he sent a picture of Ivy, which is a beautiful little girl, and says, thanks, a picture of Ivy before the transplant, but thanks to everyone for praying for her. She's a beautiful blessing and a gift from God. Well, Shane, thank you for sharing that with us, and we appreciate it. She's a beautiful little girl. She's going to have a long and fruitful life, a good life, free from any harm or injury or illness or infirmity, in the name of Jesus. Amen. Lisa from Huntsville checking in says, ironic, isn't it, that they want to be protected from the federal government, but yet they line up for federal funds before the doors even open for distribution? No doubt. That's a great point. They want the stuff. They want all the freebies. They want all the carrots that are dangled to draw them in, but they don't want the accountability that comes along with it. Matt from Madison says, these are not protesters by definition. We should refer to them as what they are. They're rioters, anarchists, and fascists. These fools need to be caught, prosecuted, and deported post-haste. I'm for that. I'm for you. Matt, you're spot on. Jeff from Indiana, which, by the way, Jeff, tell me if you're moving yet. I'd like to know if you got your tire changed. He says, hey, Phil, you can't degrade the White House more than the Biden administration when they actually had biological women with their breasts removed and their shirts off. I think that's probably going to be a new low. Hopefully it's never repeated again. I guess he's talking about having the
UFC fight.
UFC fight
degrade the White House. Yeah.
John from Huntsville checking in on the text lines. He says, JP, that was a solid on sports segment, but you left out some stories. Okay.
Sorry.
It's your segment.
Yeah.
He says, I wish you would have talked about, so definitely it wasn't your best performance, but you still might win today's overall.
Okay. Well, there's that.
Notice he didn't list what stories.
Yeah, exactly. How am I supposed to read your mind?
We are a very audience-centric show, but we cannot read minds, just
Not
so
yet.
you know.
We're working on it.
We're working on it. Yeah, JP's got a thing going. All right. Okay, coming up next, I'm going to be jumping into military-minded. That's Dipper number 2. We got good news. We got new news, which is the definition of news. But we got a lot going on. The U.S. military is truly on a bounce back. Truly, truly on a bounce back. And I say bounce back because it was in the depths in many ways. I mean, 40-year recruitment lows. Y'all, really? Yes. 40-year recruitment lows, morale in the tank, people losing. The 8,000 people lost their careers because they didn't want to get a vaccine. Just everything about it was just jacked. Well, we are on a major upswing right now. When we get back from this break, I'm going to tell you more about it. But I'll start with recruitment because everybody hit their mark. There's the teaser. But in the meantime, I got more news to go with it. Let's take a break. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back.
Wise words.
There are wise words. I actually shared them with another young lawyer later because now I'm the old lawyer. So let me ask you something. You mentioned a moment ago, you knew back home that your family that you had left behind lived still in a struggle in many ways. Did you have communication with them? Did you know how they were doing? Did you write back and forth? What?
Yes.
Okay.
We did. At that time, we wrote back and forth, and it would take months. And everything we wrote to them was open by the communists.
Oh.
And they would read our letters, because I knew that, because when I received letters from home, my parents and sibling would date the letter, so I knew it would take several months. And all of my letters that I received had been opened. And I remember one time I even slipped $1 or $2 in my letter, and my dad wrote back and told us not to do that anymore because they won't get it.
Wow.
It was open and read and sealed.
But at least they knew you were safe.
Yes.
How long did it take before they knew you were safe?
6 or 8 months.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you were able to get a message to them while you were in the refugee camp?
When the organization came and helped us, we wrote a letter to my cousin in Australia, and they delivered to my cousin in Australia. And my cousin in Australia wrote to my parents, said that your family is in a refugee camp in Indonesia. That's how they, because my mom, I found out later in 93 when I went back that my mom, the market in Vietnam is, people go to the market in Vietnam a lot, every day, right?
Like the street markets.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's also a social place, a place where people catch up with their neighbors, and find out,
All the
gossip going on. And every day she would go to the market and she would hear so-and-so left, but they didn't survive the sea. Oh, wow. So-and-so was robbed by pirates and they killed everyone. It got to the point where my parents hadn't heard from us for months. My mom was so distraught. She thought that she might have sent her kids to die, because she hadn't heard from us for months, and she didn't think that we had survived. She said, "I can't hear this anymore," so she stopped going to the market, and she shut herself upstairs in one of the rooms until she could hear if we had survived or not.
Wow.
And my sister said one time she went to spend some time with my grandmother for the summer and came back, and my mom was sitting there, and she didn't even recognize my mom because my mom had lost so much weight, and she was just grieving, thinking that we didn't survive.
Wow. But you did. Mm-hmm. You came to the United States. Life is better. And were you able to communicate with them directly at that point? Were those letters, you weren't having to go through Australia anymore. You were sending letters directly.
Right.
Wow. So you're 22 years old leaving high school, but you met a guy named John at some point, who's sitting over here to my left. And you and John now have been married for a lot of years.
It'll be 35 years this June.
Yeah. My wife, Charlene, and I are at 38.
Wow.
But you and John met, and I saw you give a speech to a church, and you said that John had already decided he was going to marry an Asian woman because God had told him that.
Yes.
And then he met you.
Yes.
And I guess that was it.
Yeah.
But you also had some friends who prayed you two together. Mm-hmm. Tell that story.
Okay, so let's see how. So John went on a mission trip, Central America, and he was engaged to a lovely young lady in North Alabama. Well, during his mission trip, he realized she wasn't the one for him. So when he got back, he broke up their engagement. So a few months after that, he was going down an escalator at the Parisian. If you live in North Alabama, there was a mall there.
I did.
With a store called Parisians.
Yeah.
Well, he was buying a gift for a baby shower, and he came down this escalator, and he saw this older Asian lady at the end of the escalator where there was some makeup counters.
Yeah.
And he had a flashback that when he was a kid, he saw himself marry an Asian person, a woman. And so he said, he did out loud, he said, "God, that's what I need."
Apparently he was right.
And so the next day when he went to the baby shower, he saw a friend, and his friend said,
And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Just saving the world one soundbite at a time. So I'm in number 2 of the Triple Dipper. Military minded. I mean, look, I know this audience. There's a ton of y'all out there that are green suitors working right now at places like Redstone Arsenal, Anniston Army Depot, Maxwell Air Force Base, all of it. And then there's a ton of y'all out there also that are veterans in this audience. And then there's a ton of y'all out there that have family and friends that are involved. And then there's a bunch of people that out there that also work in the defense industry, whether you're a GS civilian or working as a contractor, doesn't matter. All I know is we got a bunch of folks out there that are military minded. Let me touch on a few things that have happened. Now, one of them we've talked about many times on this show, but it keeps kind of advancing. The narrative keeps advancing a little bit further. I'm enjoying this, by the way. I'm enjoying watching the morale in the U.S. military come up. You know where I stand. I mean, with my time in the military, I'm a generational Army officer as my grandfather, my father, myself, and now my son is an active duty military officer. But I'm enjoying watching all of it come back up. I mean, I remember my dad having to serve through the Carter era, the hollow years, they called it, of the Army. And then I had that dry period where I served through some of the Clinton era into the Obama era, and it got frustrating. And then, I watched my son have to serve through the Biden era. There's always that upswing moment. But I'll tell you right now, the upswing we're seeing is just, it's Reagan-esque, if you know what I mean. It's Reagan-esque right now in terms of the bounce back for the U.S. military. Story here I pulled off of STARS. STARS is with 2 R's, STARRS. That's the organization that I'm actually on the National Board of Advisors for STARS. It's a great organization. You can check them out if you want to. Stars.us. That's their website. Stars.us. Anyway, STARS is an organization of retired officers dedicated to the idea of getting wokeness out of the military. And I think they were a voice in the midst of everything that was going on with the Biden era. They were a voice that helped bring about some of the changes that took place. But this piece I pulled off of STARS talks about why military recruitment is soaring. And it quotes the fact that just recently we had like multiple sources like Gallup polling and the Washington Post and even Fox saying that American pride was slipping to new lows, and national pride in the U.S. has declined sharply. But the article here that I've got in my hands points out that it was really Democrats that brought down the numbers, because when you broke it out by Democrat, Republican, Democrats were just 36% saying they consider themselves to be patriotic. Republicans were 92%. So the issue is not a question of everybody. It's a question of Democrats dragging the numbers down because they're so in the tank on their patriotism. And the guy who writes this article is pointing out that what we're looking at right now is anecdotal evidence that it's truly not across the board, because otherwise, why would you have flocks of these young kids signing up for the military? We just hit the recruiting marks. For Army won. Army got in there first. The Army saw a drastic increase in recruiting followed Trump's election. Just a month ago, this article came out, by the way, just last week. This article came out last week. So just a month ago, it says in June, the Army announced it had already surpassed its entire fiscal year 2025 recruiting goal 4 months ahead of schedule. Fiscal year ends in October, so they're 4 months ahead of schedule. That is awesome. They added 61,000 recruits. Their goal was actually 10% higher than last year. So they went 10% higher as a goal, and they met the goal 4 months ahead of schedule. What does that tell you? There's an absolute movement right now. Yes, there's patriotism. Yes, there's a desire for service. But then you follow up with the Navy. So in mid-June, bam, the Navy hit its recruiting goals 3 months early, 40,600 recruits. We're now learning that the Air Force and Space Force both have reached their FY25 goals 3 months early. The Marine Corps has also hit their goals. So what we're saying here is, yeah, you know what? It appears that Democrats have a problem. Democrats don't consider themselves patriotic. Democrats, of course, are the party of doom and gloom and down with America and defund the police and wokeify the military and transgenders in the barracks and the whole thing. But what we're seeing right now is an epic recruiting flood. And it's all happened just since Trump got elected. That is not a coincidence, my friends. Not at all. So first thing I'd say in military mindedness is that just happened. Hooray. Can I have some applause? Give me a sound effect of your choice. That'll work. I like that one. That'll work too. Add an explosion on the end of it, just because it is the military. Thank you very much.
There's a lot going on there.
We got angels singing and people clapping and things blowing up. I like it. Sounds like a Ranger School graduation is what it sounded like. By the way, you're going to have to go to that one day.
Oh, really?
We're going to go down to Fort Benning. Yeah, and you're going to want to sign up. I'm just going to warn you.
Okay, yeah.
But when you go to a Ranger School graduation, they don't just like graduate. They do a thing called the Rangers in Action demonstration. People are like rappelling out of helicopters, coming down zip lines, jumping off into the lake, hand-to-hand combat drills in front of you, rappelling off of towers, things blowing up, and then they pin the tab on you.
That's pretty sick.
It's pretty awesome. By the way, it's open to the public. Just saying that, I just laid that out there. If you want to go to see a Rangers in Action demonstration, you got to make a reservation, and it is at Victory Pond on Fort Benning. I have been. Yes, it's worth it. In fact, what was kind of cool was I went down there to watch a friend of mine graduate from Ranger School. I was in uniform, and it was pretty amazing who all was there. So the speaker that day in a crowd of about 100 to 150 was General Petraeus, because his son was graduating in the class.
How about that?
And I'll just, now that I'm chasing a rabbit, why not? The friend of mine who graduated Ranger School, I went when I was 27, and it beat the crap out of me. I mean, like not a little bit, like beat the crap out of me. My friend turned 40 while he was in Ranger School.
Wow.
He had to get a waiver to go. He turned 40 in Ranger School and just slugged it out, man.
That's impressive.
It's not only impressive, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
All right. Other things happening military minded. The Pentagon is cutting bureaucratic hurdles to unleash American drone dominance. What does that mean? Well, if you've been watching the war in Ukraine, which, by the way, set aside the politics of the war in Ukraine, set aside the fiscal aspects, set aside even the geopolitical premises related to the war in Ukraine. I will say this: the war in Ukraine has been an actual test bed. It's been one beta test after another of modern warfare, modern conventional warfare. I mean, we're watching, and drone warfare has become a thing on the battlefields in Ukraine. You got drone swarms, you got suicide drones, kamikaze drones, basically, and you've got actual drone surveillance, and then you got drones. They're rigging up like Walmart-style drones with hand grenades, flying them over foxholes and just dropping them in. I mean, it's crazy what's been happening. All that to say, Pete Hegseth has said that we are behind the power curve right now in drone technology. Just signed a major memo to order things to head into an entirely different direction on drone strategy. It's got three main pillars. When we get back from this break, I'll tell you more about it. But the drone strategy that listen, I'm going to tell you right now, all of y'all out there at Redstone Arsenal in the defense industry, brace yourselves. If you're anywhere in unmanned aerial systems, if you're anywhere in drone technology or counter drone technology, I think you're going to have a job for a while. I think you're going to be good, because this is part of the wave of the future in modern warfare, and we got to get our hands around it like real quick. Think about this. Have you watched a drone show like at 4th of July? What if that entire drone swarm was weaponized? Good Lord. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We have this girl we want you to meet. She's a friend of my girlfriend, who at that time was my best friend in high school. And John's like, I don't really want to date a high school girl.
Because he was older, right?
Right. He graduated from UAH, has his engineering degree and all that stuff. He was 25. And he said, no, I don't really want to date a high school girl. And his friend said, oh, no, she's actually 22 years old.
But she's still in high school.
Yeah, she's still in high school. And he said, no, I don't really want to date a stupid high school girl. And they're like, no, she's actually 22. And they had to explain why I was 22 in high school. I didn't know English and all that. And they had this, a grainy high school newspaper of me winning some sort of award. And they showed it to him and he said, oh, okay, I'll meet him and her. And so he came on our awards night, and that's how I met him. And I knew he was the one right away. I wasn't even allowed to date at that time.
Oh, you weren't allowed to date.
I've never
Okay,
dated.
so how did this go over?
Yeah. So I knew
tell
he
your
was,
uncle and aunt what's going on now, right?
It took me several months. I had to work up the courage.
Did he have to come to the restaurant?
Oh my gosh, he ate so much Chinese food. So much. I mean, this is a guy that doesn't even eat black pepper. You know, he was forced to eat a lot of Chinese food. So I went to my aunt and uncle and said, I met this guy and I think, I really like him. I'd like to know him. And my aunt said, well, you work 7 days a week, so you can't date.
They were cutting you no slack.
No, you work 7 days a week, and if he wanted to see you, he had to come to the restaurant. So John would come to the restaurant after work almost every single day. Mm. And we would chat. We write a lot of letters to each other, so we would trade letters when he come over, and then I would talk to him while I was running tables here and there, one slow time or whatever. And he ate a lot of Chinese food, learned to eat a lot of Chinese food at that time. And he even one day took off from his engineering job because our dishwasher didn't show up, and he took off one day just to wash dishes.
Well, he's making points at that point. All right. So, at what stage in this relationship did your aunt and uncle go, okay, you can date him? When did that happen?
After we got engaged.
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
your relationship is already serious, but they're still not letting you go out on dates.
No, until he committed to me and proposed. It's when they let me one day off so that I can plan my wedding.
Wow, that's great. That's a good story.
Yeah.
And my grandparents met on a blind date and they eloped a week later.
Wow.
And they were married for 50 years.
Wow.
Sometimes it happens.
It happens. My parents was arranged.
Was it really?
Yeah. My mom didn't meet my dad until the night before the wedding.
Little known fact, I was on a date with another girl when I met my wife. I didn't date that other girl anymore after that.
See, you never know.
Never know. Well, so you had there's a major life change. Mm-hmm. You've now gone through high school in America. You've got a job. You've got a new life, a new language. Your family back in Vietnam knows that you're safe, and now you got a new relationship. But the other relationship that started around that time was your relationship with Jesus Christ.
Yes. So we were, while my uncle was working it was 3M at that time, we also were custodians to the Presbyterian Church in Athens. And during the few years that the sponsor come in and out of our lives, they also encouraged us to go to church with them. Mm. And so we went to church several times, and we were also custodians. So I see pamphlets about Jesus. I knew a little bit about him, but I wasn't like ready to embrace, Christianity because I didn't really understand a whole lot. And then when John come over to our restaurant every day, he would bring his Bible to read, and we would have discussion. And unbeknown to me, his
And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the southeast US of A. Y'all have talked about this show. This show right here goes like from Huntsville back over to Chattanooga. I'm talking about from Tuscaloosa back over to Gadsden. I mean, all the way down to that lovely little village on the plains we call Auburn. Straight across the border from there to what we now call, once again, Fort Benning. And then big old patches of North Georgia and Mississippi thrown in just for good measure. And then, oh, by the way, that's just the radio audience. There's a bunch of y'all out there in the whole wide world going to the World Wide Web, tuning in live stream on the show every day, watching the inner workings of the studio here in places like Facebook and X and YouTube and Rumble, and on our website, rightsidemedia.org. And then a ton of y'all also podcast the show after the fact. What I'm saying is this audience is wide and everywhere, and we love you and we appreciate you. And I just want you to know that we would not be doing this were it not for you. So thank you very much. JP, you had the camera turned on. People got to watch me take a drink of water right before I came on the camera.
Well, I turned it on when the bumper music started. I figured that was a free game. But
remind me not to scratch an itch or anything before I start talking.
Oh.
Man, we are in some more kind of a thunderstorm right now.
I think the listeners can hear it, but yeah.
We just had one text in and said that they could hear it. So, in case you're wondering, here in the Rightside Studios in Gadsden, we are in the middle of a thunderstorm. Lightning just struck just right out the way outside your window, right?
Oh yeah, it was right up on the little hill behind the golf course. There's another.
There's another. Okay, was wait and watch for the lightning. Cooter from Huntsville says, Phil, probably never told you, but I was forced retired from the Navy for not getting the COVID shot. Cooter, I did not know this. Thank you for your service. Oh, by the way, they're taking people back. So
I was about to say they need to make it known.
And they're taking them back with full back pay and rank.
Yeah.
Like back pay, like several years of back pay.
Rightfully so.
I got an article here in my stack that I'll get to in a minute, though, that says very few people have actually taken them up on it yet. Like less than 20.
Really?
8,000 lost their jobs, and I guess they've all decided, no, thank you.
They've lost faith altogether.
I don't know, I guess. Jay from Hartselle says, the military is getting back to its roots. No political and focused on readiness. Men get to be men again without fear of misgendering someone. Makes me want to do another spur ride. Spur ride? You must be a Cav guy. Jay, thank you for your service. Go Cav. So I got this story that I was starting to talk about right before the show. Before the break. Daily Wire has a piece that says Hegseth unleashes U.S. military drone dominance. What does that mean? Well, as I mentioned we went to the break, that drones are a part of the wave of the future. So you got two things going on right now. You got the DoD acquisition environment right now is heavily into both drone and counter drone capability. It's going to be everything. It's going to be things from Lord, you're going to have, if you've ever watched where you've got the counter battery systems on a battleship or on a warship, that taking out the incoming missiles, picture a mini version of that on an Abrams tank, taking out drones. It's going to have real-time AI built in to sight incoming drones and take them out. Drones are the wave of the future. And then picture this. And by the way, there was a movie, one of the Gerard Butler, Olympus Has Fallen movies. I think it was the third in a row. It's the one where he's in still Secret Service mode, protective detail for the president. In that case, the president was attacked by a drone swarm at the beginning of the movie. It was amazing to watch. And it is not so fanciful. It is not. If you've seen any drone shows where the drones go up in the air and they're mass synchronized to make pictures in the air, think about it. If they can control a drone show like that for artistic purposes, what could they do if those drones were armed? What if at the very least they were kamikaze drones and you put them up in waves? Good luck. All right, so Hegseth has now unleashed what he's calling military drone dominance for the United States. All you guys out there in Redstone land, you're going to be busy. He says, today I'm rescinding restrictive policies that stifle production. This will unleash American manufacturing and the ingenuity of warfighters. It follows up, by the way, the fact that President Trump did sign an executive order directing the DoD to head in this direction. Hegseth says our adversaries have produced millions of cheap drones before us, and we've been mired in bureaucratic red tape, but not anymore. So 3 pillars to drone dominance, he says. Number 1, the DoD will prioritize buying American-made drones to help expand our drone making on the domestic front. All right, there's that. Second, he says, the military will leverage the U.S.'s world-leading engineers and AI experts to arm combat units with drones, meaning it's going to go down to the tactical level. This is not going to be something that is seen at the theater level. It's not going to be something that is just at the upper level strategic level. We're looking at tactical level battlefield commanders having drone capability. Third, the secretary plans to stamp out what he calls a risk-averse mindset that he suggests has been holding back senior military staff from being able to be innovative with drones. What does that mean? Well, you're going to start seeing more off the shelf. You're going to start seeing things like, hey, I got a good idea. What if? You're going to see what is often known as a rapid fielding initiative. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. And I think they're going to have to, because watching the war in Ukraine, if all you do is watch it for the purposes of trying to assess what works and what doesn't work on a modern battlefield, drones are working like in a big way. And then there's going to be like force protection measures. How do you stop drones? Do you have to, I mean, camouflage netting is one thing. Do you now have to have drone screens over all your stuff? Just listen. Hegseth's orders, he says, also will allow for the first time commanders for the rank of colonel and below to be able to obtain and test drones. Okay, that sounds like someone's get the impact card going to Walmart and buy them a drone. And the orders also, this is interesting. Part of what's changing here, and those of y'all that understand military parlance know what I mean, the orders are reclassifying drones from being considered durable to being considered consumables. So that means it's going to be an expendable item, which means it's very likely not going to wind up having to be accounted for the same way. You're not going to have, drone layout inspections all the time. You're not going to, there's not going to be a serial number inventory the same way, because this is considered to be a consumable item, meaning it's expendable on the battlefield, meaning they're going to be flooding the systems with drone capability. Watch and watch. I'm just saying, this is fascinating to me. Now, here's another piece of the world in which we live. Y'all, this does show that we're in a new day. I mean, it wasn't so long ago that the Navy thought it'd be awesome. The Navy, the U.S. Navy, thought it'd be awesome to put out training videos on how to use the proper gender identification pronouns. What? Yes, they did. The Army had recruiting videos that talked about Sally with two mommies. What? Transgenders in the military. I mean, it's just been gross. Well, whole new day. Dateline today. Daily Wire reports the Pentagon has just removed the nomination for an admiral to take a major promotion and command position because he allowed drag queen performances on an aircraft carrier. God almighty. The Defense Department is withdrawing the nomination of Rear Admiral Michael Buzz Donnelly. The Daily Wire can first report, under whose command drag performances took place on board the USS Ronald Reagan. Golly.
I'm sure all of them wanted a drag show.
Oh, they were looking for it.
Carrier.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, sir. Thanks for bringing the entertainment to the troops. Big morale boost.
Yeah, let's say that'll boost morale.
Donnelly served as the commanding officer of the aircraft carrier Reagan from April 2016 to September 2018, during which time Yeoman Second Class Joshua Kelly performed. Oh, he's actually a service member. I remember this guy. He went by the name Harpy Daniels. You know why? Because he was mocking the lady who claimed that Trump had assaulted her, and she's the one. What was her name? Something Daniels.
Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels. So he's Harpy Daniels. Jeez. At a department-sanctioned morale, welfare, and recreation event. Oh, MWR put it on. Wonderful. I'm sure that went over like a turd in a punch bowl. All right, so the Defense Department announced on June 18th that President Donald Trump had nominated Donnelly for promotion to Vice Admiral, but then Daily Wire began to make inquiries. Hey, why are you promoting a guy that did this? Oh, shoot. They have now withdrawn Donnelly's nomination. He was being nominated for his second star and to lead the 7th Fleet. Hegseth is now looking for a new 7th Fleet commander. Donnelly drew national attention in 2023 when Senator Tommy Tuberville from Alabama held up his promotion to Rear Admiral as part of his blockade on DOD promotions. The Alabama Republican was fighting President Joe Biden's policy of providing 3 weeks of paid leave and reimbursement for travel on military personnel who wanted abortions. So this guy was flagged for a while. Unbelievable. One more before we go to the break. Which one do I want here? I got several. Hang on a second. Let me look at what I got. I'll take this one. I'd love this story from TWZ. I tell you what, I mentioned the war in Ukraine a while ago. What we have to watch now is that the president's saying he's going to be sending additional weapons to Ukraine. Is where are our U.S. stockpiles? Our own U.S. stockpiles, Patriot missile, TWZ reports Patriot missile stockpile concerns grow, although the Pentagon claims that it has enough. So we're deploying Patriot missile batteries to Israel. We're deploying them to other Middle Eastern bases for protection from the Houthis and others and from Iran. And obviously we needed it because we had to use them to fend off the missile attack that Iran launched against our base in Qatar. But we're also supplying, Patriot interceptors and other things to Ukraine. The Pentagon is pushing back now on a published report that recently came out saying that the U.S. only has about 25% of the Patriot interceptors that it needs. The comments follow the DoD's reported temporary pause in delivery of interceptors and other weapons to Ukraine. Meanwhile, officials in Kiev are pleading for new interceptors because they're getting pummeled by Russian airstrikes. Yeah, this is a thing. And it goes on to point out the Patriot interceptor expenditures in the Middle East also exacerbated existing supply concerns. So bottom line is this. It's supply and demand. There's been a demand for Patriots. The supply is dwindling. There is a massive, there's a major concern going on right now about a published report that recently came out saying that we have depleted our stockpiles and that we are at dangerously low levels. By the way, in case you're not familiar, though, right here in Alabama, Lockheed has a major facility down yonder in Troy, not far from Montgomery, where the Javelin missile is made. And I believe they might even be making the munitions for Patriot. But very cool. Right here in Alabama. Mike from Huntsville says he went to airborne school, 38 years old, all the way. Mike, you're a stud. 38 years old, jumping out of airplanes for the very first time. Shoot, that's good. Dave from Capshaw also says, this is for JP from the Babylon Bee. A new WNBA video game adds options to be able to shiv Caitlin Clark.
That's funny.
That is haha, not funny, hot nah. All right, take me to a break, JP. Last break on a Friday afternoon. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back.
Church was praying for me.
Which means they were also praying for him.
Yes. And so that Sunday that I got off from work, that one day to plan our wedding, I went to church with him that one Sunday in August. And
what year was that?
1989.
Okay.
So August 1989, I went to church with him, and it just, I had a lovely time, but nothing that really stirred my spirit.
Nothing earth-shattering?
Nothing earth-shattering. So that night we went back to church, and the pastor was asking all of us to bow head and pray, and something was stirring in me. And when he said, "Is anyone here?" He was given that invitation, and he said, "There." It was several minutes, and I was not fighting it, but something was stirring in me, and my hand just flew up. Honestly, I don't know what happened. It's like something has tied to my hand and just went right up. And then he said, with every head bowed and every eyes closed, would you like to come up here? And so I started walking toward the aisle, and then I started walking up to the church.
This is the church that's been praying for you?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I started hearing these rustling noises in the back of me as I was walking up to the altar, and I'm like, what's going on? So I turn around, and everyone from the congregation was following me up to the altar. Because all of them was been praying for me to be saved that day. And I had at first I thought, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? But now I know all those people have been praying for me for months, that I get that day off and that I will be saved on that Sunday. And God had answered their prayer, and they came with me to the altar, and all of them was at the altar, just praising God.
Wow.
For answer prayer.
Wow.
So
that is something
I'm
else.
So it's so humbling.
Yeah.
To have strangers to pray for you.
Well,
you've had
the intervention of strangers in your life for years at this point.
Yeah.
Wow. Can I ask you, did you share your new faith with your family? Did you go back and tell them what happened?
No.
Okay. So
no, I didn't.
Would you think was it one of those things that was just a little difficult to talk about, or
very difficult to talk about? Yeah. Eventually, I did share my faith with them, and they knew that. They knew that because I chose to marry in the church. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What I would say though too is that you not only accepted Christ, you apparently embraced that relationship with the Lord, but then at the same time you were doing so, and it was not comfortable. At the same time, it was comfortable, but yet not comfortable.
Right. Yeah.
You were stepping out.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this: you and John got married. You started a family. How many kids do you have?
We have 2.
And they're grown now.
They're grown. We have one that's about to turn 31, and one that's going to be 33.
Okay, well, they're about the same age my kids. Mm-hmm. You have grandkids yet?
No.
Oh, it's coming.
No.
But what I heard in one of your speeches was an amazing piece where in 1993 you went back to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm. I did.
Was there any risk in that, by the way?
Oh, gosh, huge risk.
Really?
Because at that time, we were sponsoring my whole family to come to America.
Okay.
And honestly, we had like a foot of paperwork that we had to do to fill out. There's 6 of them. Was that Vietnamese paperwork or State Department U.S. paperwork? Both. Okay. And so we knew that if we take some of those paperwork to Vietnam, it might escalate because when we did the paperwork, a lawyer told us that it would take 5 to 10 years to sponsor them. Okay. But we also heard from other Vietnamese community that sponsoring their kids, that if you take those paperwork to Vietnam, it might, help to escalate the time to move it faster. So look someone in the eye. And it might help. And so we decided, and also I was at this time I was 15 years separated from my family. Yeah. And I got married and have a little baby. She was 4 months.
And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Just bulletproof influence, my friends. Bulletproof influence. Heard from Gurley checked in. He says, one of the cheapest and best ways to combat drones is for helicopters and fighters to shoot them with bullets. Okay. He says, save the Patriots from ballistic missiles. Israel uses this method to augment the Iron Dome and David Sling air defense systems. Yes, they do. That it shouldn't be too long in the future before we have autonomous fighter drones to shoot down UAVs. I think what we're also going to wind up having is jamming capability. I think we're going to wind up having lasers that are going to wind up, blinding them. I think it's going to be more than just, like point of impact type taking them down. Real quick before I go to the phones, John from Huntsville has the grades. He says, JP gets an A+ for his overall strong performance. However, today's winner is obviously the magnificent Phil Williams, whoop, whoop, with an A++ for his outstanding performance. Congratulations. Thank you, sir. By the way, I think instead of having a cage fight on the White House front lawn, they should host the home run derby there instead.
I don't think they have enough room for that. I mean, there probably is, but
they'd be knocking them over to the Washington Mall.
Yeah, I think that's a hazard. That's dangerous. People are going to get hit with baseballs.
Let me go to the phones right now because my man with the flat tire, Jeff Rowe from Indiana, is on the line. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Well, I'm doing better now, anyway.
Well, that was quite the blowout. That thing, that was shredded.
Oh yeah. Whoever thought putting recaps on in the summertime should have their head examined when you got those are super singles with 120 pounds of air in it, and when that thing went, you can imagine what it's like. It's a good thing nobody's next to you. I'll put it that way.
I've had one go off next to me, and it was like I was having flashbacks to Baghdad when the IED went off next to my convoy. It was just like shaboom, but
probably even more powerful.
It might have been. Yeah, and I was behind one time when it blew and the rubber came flying back at me too. That was also pretty fun, like rubber shrapnel just flying everywhere.
Yeah, I did that one time. Throwed it right across a recap right across the hood of a big RV.
Oh my gosh, I had some folks I knew that used to own a recap business, and they loved summertime. And I actually kind of made me mad when I heard that. I was like, I said, that's awful.
Yeah.
They said, yeah, we
Yeah.
sell more because the hot road, making it blow up. And I thought that's freaking awful. But
Yeah, it's not bad in the wintertime, but you take 90-degree plus heat in the sun hitting the pavement, and they pop pretty easy.
all right. Well, you're back on the road though.
Oh yeah. I'm there's a lot of people out here with me right now, and I'm out here at 42-mile marker in Tennessee, heading north.
Oh, you're heading
65.
north. Good. All right.
Yeah, and I don't know where they come from, but there are a bunch of them out here with me.
What do you think about all this violent left wing stuff right now? I talked about earlier. What do you think about that?
You have to arrest these people and put them in jail. And I don't care if you're using a deadly weapon as a rock, like Israelis. When the Palestinians was throwing rocks at them and everything, they shot them. And I think that's what needs to be done here.
So
if you're coming at
don't bring a rock
deadly
to a gunfight, is what you're saying.
Well, I mean, if you hit you in the head with this rock and everything, you're going to be just as dead as if I hit you with a bullet. So, hey, if you attack somebody with a deadly weapon, you get what you get. And it's just like playing in if somebody come out here and playing in the interstate, if you're crazy enough to do that, then you get what you're asking for.
Well, I'm hoping it doesn't come to that, because there's no way in the world the media would ever let that be the actual narrative. It would vilify the police. But I'll tell you right now, though, somebody's got to get a hold of this situation, because this is beyond the pale. And liberal rhetoric and liberal leftist leaders are the ones who are stoking the flames on this. And then all the agitators are just feeling empowered, and they just keep going, because why would they not? It's like they've been invited.
If I incite a riot, shouldn't I be arrested?
Yes, actually, yes. In fact, that's what they tried to say that Trump did on January 6th. They tried to blame it on him because of words.
Well, a lot of the words these Democrat politicians are putting out are a lot worse than anything Trump ever said. So, Maxine Waters, for example, she should have been put in a slammer after everybody started doing the things they did after she said, don't let them have no peace, tell them they're not welcome.
I completely agree. And it's just, you look at it and go, okay, someone somewhere, please remind people like LA Mayor Karen Bass that when they swore to uphold and defend, that they were supposed to actually uphold and defend, not just for the select, but for all.
Well, she's taking care of their legals. I guess they think they're still going to sit Democrat, I reckon.
All right, man. It's Friday afternoon. I gotta go make a quick announcement before I leave. But you be safe on the road, my brother.
All righty. You have a good weekend, everybody.
All right. See you, bud. Hey, I got to tell you guys real quick. I forgot to announce it earlier. I just wasted the opportunity. But Monday, I will not be here Monday and Tuesday. Got some guest hosting going on, and I'm also going to be on CNN. The reason why is because CNN is flying me to New York, and I will be on the Abby Phillips evening show, sitting in the seat commonly held by Scott Jennings. But I am I'm one of the Republicans on the panel for an hour from 9 to 10 on Friday or on Monday evening. I'd appreciate prayers and support, but chime in. It might be one of the first times y'all watch CNN. Who knows?
I was you may need to take a bath before you come back. And don't bring any CNN air with you back here.
Well, I am going to go do the thing and defend the interest quite ably on behalf of Ruffian Land. But in the meantime, just know this. Hey, there's more of us than there are of them. God is still on his throne. Y'all stay in the fight. We'll see you.